All right. See if we get this jump set up right. We're gonna hop right on in. All right. Don't be showing too much. All praises, all praises. All right. All right. I'm on Shabbat Shalom, technically still. We get more into that later on, but Shalom fam, Shalom Barak. Great to see everybody. Great to finally be on. We're gonna play this like one more time. It's like 2 minutes. We're gonna play this one more time, kind of get everything together, give time for more people to come in and stuff like that. Then we're gonna hop right on in to Psalms 119 in the Bible. So Psalms 119, we're gonna start right there, and then we're gonna dive in from there. We're gonna get real deep into Hebrew characters yet again. All praises, all praises. On peace and blessings upon you, sir. Salam Barak, Salam Barak. Salam Barak. Great to see you, sir. Great to be on with you. So we starting out in Psalms 119, learning more and more each week. And Psalm 119, I believe verse 46. No, 49 to 56. Yep. Oh, wait. We're not going to do that. We're going to play this one. And then we're going to jump right on in. So, yeah, starting in Psalm 119, 49 through 56. We're going to let this play out. Then we're going to jump right on in there. Peace and blessings be upon y'all. Peace and blessings. Shalom Aparak, fam. Great to be with y'all again. And Big Bruder, if you're on yet, go ahead and send a comment something so I can go ahead and make you make you one of the moderators as well, sir. If you're on yet, now or later, at whatever point. Appreciate you. Aman, aman, aman. Shalom, 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 fam. Shalom, aparak. Shalom, aparak. Great to be with y'all yet again. Praise y'all. This still works out. What is it? Yesterday? Let's see. It just turned into a rest day. It just turned into a rest day. For real, for real. Enjoying time with Yah, with family. Enjoying time with with Abba and family and stuff like that. And we're led to not try to push too much in. Be placed where you are. Is absorb where you're placed at in life. Make sure you do that. Absorb what's going on around you. Just because you're put into a situation, don't automatically try to fight your way out too extremely. In my case, my scenario, but not going into that. We're on a totally different wave today. But shalom, fam, shalom. Let's see. Where are we going to start at? Where are we going to start? We're going to start with prayer. We're going to start with prayer, and we're going to jump right on in. Abba Yah, we come before you to say Tada for another Yom to come and be in your presence, another Shabbat, according to your calendar days that you've given us, another time to come together. I've been on this for a while, I've been marinating on this for a while, and Tada for your direction on it. The first way, sometimes we think we have the way that you have for us to go with it, and yet you'll set something up for us to see it in a different way, for us to approach it the correct way that you need us to approach it to in this time, in this season, for whoever needs to hear this, because that's what this is, divine timing. And this is in Yosham, Asham Yahava, Asham Yahashva, Asham Rakakwadash, Aman Aman, and Aman Tadaba. So, fam, today we're going to get into what we've been trying to get into since last week is the Testament of ZABVLAN, or the Testament of ZABVLAN. We would write that out as ZABVLAN, ZABVLAN, starring the character ZAYAN, right? Starring the character ZAYAN. So what we're going to dive deep into, because that's essentially what we do here. We call this the campfire here. Catch you fireside at the campfire. So what we do here, we take the word and we go deep diving into it. We deep dive into more and find more, because this word is constantly renewing. Every time you read the word, it's constantly renewing, because it gives you a new mind state. It gives you a new way to see things. It applies to your life, and your life is always changing. So therefore, the word constantly renews according to your life, and past, in the present, towards the future. All these three things connect at one time, right? So what we do here, we take that and we go deeper into it. Today we're going to start with Psalms 119 and ZAYAN. We're going to read that character. We're going to dive deeper into what Abba had me go into. And speaking of Abba, that's the point we're going to start at right there, to get this perception correct in what we're going through and what we're going into. So with a grain of salt, I want to take y'all who's able to listen to this, take y'all somewhere with me in mind, right? So, Abba, right? We're going to start with this. Matter of fact, we're going to write out the Hebrew character Alav, right? Psalms 119, chapter 1, verse 1. That's where all these Hebrew characters come from. But Psalms 119, chapter 1, verse 1, we're going to start with Alav, right? And remember Alav, it goes like this. Two lines, goes right to left. In the right side, this is us, right? We talked about that. And the connected point being the vision that Abba has in these two directions. The knowledge of righteousness, the knowledge of wickedness. And right here in the parallel line connecting these 2 points is where we get to eventually, right? That's how we get to seeing things. And with this vision, this Alav, this Abba, this vision goes from right to left. So we have alav, then we also have, we're going to write out ba'ait, right? We're going to go ba'ait. This is the second Hebrew character. Looks like the letter A, looks like the letter B, right? Don't mind my hurrying up and drawing, but this is for all righteous intents and purposes only, right? So we have Abba, which would be alav, ba'ait, right? Ba'ait, alav, right? So this is the vision. This is the vision. Right here we have the house or the mind. So we have alav, or we have Abba, which is source, represents ox as well, represents where things start from, where the vision comes from. This vision goes from Abba into a house, right? Or into a righteous mindset. And it goes into another house and it goes back to source. So in there's a vision going from house to house back to the source. So that the point of the thing coming in to where it's mixed up and consumed in, to the point of where it's digested, or what's digested from that in the end of it. That is Abba, that is Father, that is source. Right? So with perspective, Abba uses, right? Father uses certain characters to communicate to us, right? This would be the Aleph Ba'ait, the Aleph Bait. Later became the alphabet, you know, but we're going with the original things. So the Aleph Ba'ait, he uses these individual characters, right? You will see after Abba, many would say Yod Hey or Hai, Vav, Hai, right? Yahava, right? Stay with me, we'll keep walking. So Abba, Yahava. Abba uses Yod Hey or Yod Hai, Vav Hai, right? He uses those four characters, and those four characters put together would be Yahava in that work, right? So let's start that back together, start that over, back together from the beginning. So we have Abba, who uses Yod Hey, Vav Hey in Alachayam, okay? So Abba uses the righteous direction, which is nailed to the Holy Spirit for our direction, to consume things, which is in the righteous direction of the Father, through the blood, water, and spirit, or the flesh, which is us, for the righteous direction purpose, right? So Abba uses the characters Yod, He, Vav, He, Alav, Lamed, Alav, Yod, Alav, Mam, Yod, Alav, Mam, right? Or Alachayam. Sorry, that probably mixed it up a little bit, but these thoughts are coming in very fast. So what I'm saying with all that is what? Do you have a relationship with Father? That is my question to you. Do you have a relationship with Father, with Abba, Yahava, Alachayam, or Abba, Yahava, Alachayam, right? When Abba uses these things, when he uses the characters Yod, He, Vav, He for righteous direction, when he uses righteous direction for our righteous purpose in blood, water, and spirit, do you have a relationship to be able to see what's going on there? Do you see Abba first, or do you see Yahava first? You get what I'm saying now? Do you see Abba first, or do you see Alachayam first? Or do you see the proper sequence of Abba, Yahava, Alachayam? You get what I'm saying now? There's a process to this. So do you have a relationship with Abba to see how things really are coming at you? This is required to see how things are really coming at you. Not saying that Yahava is not his name or not his authority, right? Not saying Alachayam or God in later misused translation, not saying that that's not his authority, right? Not saying that at all, but he is Father. Father plants things. Let me go deeper with that and thought with you on that too. When they asked Messiah, how are we supposed to pray? In what form are we supposed to pray in? In what direction are we supposed to pray? He said, our Father who art in heaven. He said, if you're going to pray, pray in this way, in these frames, because right now what we see in vision, and as we go through day-to-day life, we see day-to-day life in a frame. When we dream out of frame. There's no frame there anymore. So right now what we see now is a frame of mind. So in the frame of mind, they're asking, what frame of mind are we supposed to be doing this in? Basically is what they're asking, because prayer is a petition, prayer is a conversation. I could walk around and talk to Abba all day. I talk to Pops all day because he's my father, right? And because he's my Father, I can see Yahava in everything. I can see the righteous direction, how everything is already dipped in wisdom. What I see now is knowledge and understanding. You get what I'm saying? So by me knowing Abba, I can see how his righteous direction is what is needed through all these things in the blood, water, and spirit. That's Yahweh in the Allah Hayam, right? From the righteous direction of the Holy Spirit through what needs to happen for us to have that Holy Spirit or that Holy Spirit mindset in us. But we first must know Abba. That's what the Messiah was saying. He said, first to pray in this form, pray, Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, or hallowed be thy authority. And nailed in place should be your authority, shall be your authority in heaven, in earth as it is in heaven. So in those specific points that we're at, right? We're at those specific points in earth. That's where heaven meets. You get what I'm saying now? So when I'm saying, do you have a relationship with Father? Do you have a relationship with Abba? In order to see anything we're talking about correctly, you got to be able to see how things correctly are in Hebrew character, right? Because that's essentially where we all break these things down to. So that would be saying, Abba, who is in heaven, Samayam, hallowed be thy name, and nailed in authority, nailed in place forevermore, never changing shall your authority be. And that is Allah Khayam, his authority in us. But do you know Abba? The Messiah called him Father. So we should be like the Messiah, right? In order to see him as Father. Oftentimes, what the enemy does is take little things, as we know, break it up, and make it confusing for us. Make it so that, oh, if you're not saying this, then you're not saying anything. Well, do you even know that that's Abba before any of that? You know what I'm saying? So that's the perception I'm talking about. Not making anything more little than what it is perceived to be, and it shouldn't be perceived to be. It's not a little thing, but it's a thing necessary in direction in order to see what's really going on here. Because it's Abba. In that place where there's a vision on each side, right? That Allah, there's two points of vision. To go through that again. From Allah to Ba'ait, which is the original mindset, right? To the mindset of, let's say me, for example. I'll put myself in the second Ba'ait. So from the righteous direction of what Abba has for me comes from him to me, which should point right back to the source. That is Abba, right? That is Abba. So here we are looking at Abba. Abba gives us two things, right? Because he is all. There is righteousness in this world. There is wickedness in this world, but he is everything. He is in everything. What we know now is too much. So now we have that thought and option of knowing which way to go and having an option of wickedness instead of just having a pure righteous mindset, right? But the second thing is a ba'it. So all that's happening here is Abba, house, house, Abba. Abba, house, house, Abba. That's what's going on here. That's what this is. That's creation. Because from that place came creation. So from Abba going back and forth between these houses that he created comes creation, comes the righteous direction. So Abba uses the righteous direction to do these things in us, to do these things for us, because we are placed here. So can you see proper placement? Proper placement, Father gives seed. Seed births. So first, Abba. All right, boom. Now we're done with that. Right? We're still together. Perfectly, we're still together. Because we're about to go to Psalms 119 now. But we had to start with that so we are all able to see where we're going with each other. So let's go to Psalms 119, and we're gonna start walking. And as we're turning there, Psalms 119, verse 49 through 56. All right. So as we're turning there, I'm gonna go into a little story time as we do sometimes over here. Right. So one thing why I was led to start out with that, it's luckier. It's because I had me a great meal before this. Because it's necessary to see how things work, right? So yesterday I was getting the vehicle checked out, right? And basically, long story short, I needed an alignment. Okay, I knew that already. Boom, go to get the alignment, and I go to get the alignment, and I tell the dude, I'm like, hey, I'm here for an alignment, but it's probably gonna be more. He's like, what you mean? I say, well, we about to find out, right? But I told him, I was like, no, I was like, pretty much like, hey, I know it's an alignment, but I know that sometimes an alignment can't be done unless these certain things are in order, right? And for those that don't know about vehicles, we're gonna go into a little bit about mechanical things about vehicles. So be ready. You need to know this stuff anyway, right? So I was like, boom, I know that if these things aren't right, the alignment can't happen. He's like, okay, boom, I get what you're saying now. We'll let you know. So I'm sitting outside and I'm looking around at where I'm placed because that's first. So where did Abba place me? That's the mindset I want to get us to have here in this metaphorical place, so we're able to get to where Abba has had me go for this, right? For whoever needs to hear it, to go even more deeper into it, because this is just a, blanket statement for some people in some spaces. But I'm sitting outside, right? I'm looking at the cars go by and stuff like that. The guy comes outside and says, "Yeah, I need a picture of your license plate." I say, "Cool." He takes the picture. I say, "Is it cool if I sit outside? I'm an outside type of guy." He says, "Yeah, that's fine. That's cool." I say, "All right, bet." So I go and I'm sitting outside. I'm looking around to see where Abba has placed me. He has placed me in a place where I'm the type of person where I don't like to be in wide open spaces. You know what I'm saying? I like to know where surroundings are, right? For these examples, that's why I like being on YouTube too. But for these examples, say if you're in a situation where there's an aggressive group coming at you and you have a wall behind you, okay? The first thing you want to do is stick your shoulder, stick your strong planted foot right there against the wall. Stick your shoulder up against the wall, crouch down a little bit, and just get ready for whatever's coming at you, right? That's the kind of situation I like to be in for relaxation purposes. I'm not in a threatening situation in life every day. That's not me, but it's just my comfort zone. I don't like being in too much rambunctiousness, right? Because people is peopling out here today. So I like to see what's going on around me, long story short. So I'm peeping how Yah has me set in a place like that already as I waited for my vehicle to get finished checked out. So in my mind, I'm like, all right, this is about to mean something. So let me start paying attention to even more about what's going on around me. That's what we do here. We take the word that we already know, and we go deeper into it. We dive into it. You know, we pretty much know the outskirts of things, but we dive real deep into these characters and stuff like that here. So be ready, grain of salt, especially going through these testaments of the 12 sons that are mentioned, of the branches of Yahasha'al, the Yarasha'al, Israel, right? That's where we're going with this. But I'm sitting here and I'm observing. Next thing that happens is he comes outside. He's like, "Yep, I got your verdict." Say, "Oh man, I don't like that word. I don't even like how that word hit me." So I go inside, and long story short, he breaks down the issues. So for those that don't know, before you get in alignment, before you could get your mindset straight, this is the metaphorical mindset that we're in. Keep this on. If y'all didn't catch on to that already, I speak metaphor. Like I'm a metaphorical speaker, artist, type flow. This is what we do. So I'm sitting here and I go inside. He's like, "Yeah, I got your verdict." I'm like, boom, I don't like that. I don't like that. I go inside. He tells me everything that's going on. So basically, when you need your alignment, you have to have certain things in line first. These will be your control arms. These will be your tie rods. Let's see what else. Your shocks, or your it's called another word. I call them shocks, or your springs right there under the tire. These things have to be in motion. They have to be locked in tight. Let me see if I can give you a little diagram so y'all can see what I'm talking about, really. So boom, this is what we do here. I'm gonna take this little space right here. All right. So we got the frame of the car. Told y'all I like to draw. So we got the tire right here, right? But at this point of the tire, we're gonna zoom out to this box. We have a connecting point. We have a control arm. We have springs, right? And that control arm hooks up to the brake caliper system, and that holds your wheel. But right here, this is what turns the direction. It turns it left, right, up, down, whichever way you need to go. But if this point isn't correct, they can't align this right, so that way your wheel sits back in the righteous direction. You know what I'm saying? Sort of, in a way. So, sorry if y'all heard me breathing hard too. I was close to that camera. But, yeah, so that's what's going on. So basically in life, you're not able to get properly aligned. You're not able to get properly going. You're not able to get in there if you don't have your points connected. These are your elbows, knuckles, shoulders, stuff like that, before you can get your feet right. So that's why we get into the Hebrew characters and stuff like that, even envisioning what these Hebrew characters are and what they mean, because we could actually get into and see what Abba has for us in these things, because Abba uses Yahweh Alahayam. Putting that together, that's a whole work right there for us to see. So what we see around us is Yahweh Alachayam. So when he told Moses, I am what I am that I am, or it is what it is, he's saying that everything you're seeing or seeing is what I've put here. What you're seeing is what I've allowed to be. I've allowed Pharaoh to be over y'all. I've allowed slavery. I've allowed, you know, these things to happen. People have knowledge of this now because of, if things are written to be, for every action, there's an opposite reaction. We can agree with that. So for every positive thing, there's a negative thing. So in the beginning, what happened was we have knowledge of the negative thing now. So those bad thoughts in our mind, those are an option now. They weren't really an option before, but now we have free will. That's where people get that. I found it very accurate. The theory, that's the word, a very accurate theory on that the fruit in the beginning being free will, because now you have the option, now you have the knowledge of knowing this thing and that thing, right? But we go deeper into it because there's more now that we can get into, bringing all that together. So going to Psalms 119, we're finally getting into the word now. You ready? Psalms 119, 49 through 56, and we're going to walk this thing out about Testament of Zebulun, believe it or not. That's what we're talking about. Testament of Zebulun, or ZABVLAN, okay? So Psalms 119, verse 49 through 56. Right here we can see, for those that don't know, is Zion. Zion is the first letter in Zebulun. And first letter, Z is what this representative, Z, Zion. That's what we're talking about right now, Zion. Let's see. First, I want to start with, before we even get into that, right? Before we get into that, I'm going to go over this Zion character because it keeps popping in my mind, because I think we're going to need to know this before I go any further of what I'm saying when I see this, right? So Zion, before we get into Zion, okay? So Zion is a harvesting tool that will go like this, right? A line, boom, Zion, right? So Zion is a character in the Alabite representative of harvesting tool. There's more harvesting tool and a weapon as well, or a gardening tool. Some may call that a HOE tool, right? Not too sure how sensitive people's ears are on this, so but that's what that is, right? So in life, we must know how to be able to take what's around us and decipher it, right? This is the idea we've been bouncing around this whole time about Yahweh Alachayam, right? Or Yahweh Alachayam, and of Abba using Yahweh Alachayam, right? Right. Plowshare or pruning blade. Yeah, Khan, that too. So we're supposed to be able to take what we see going on, and we're supposed to be able to divide it, consume it, share it, however we're supposed to go with that. That is harvesting. That's able to see what we're supposed to see from this. So in the beginning, at first we didn't have to till the ground. That's meaning that at first all we knew was what we had to know, right? We didn't really have to think too much about what we had to figure out. At first we didn't have to till the ground, but then we had to till the ground once there was a fruit eaten of. The fruit is something that's beneficial to the body. Fruit is something that if you eat it, it has seed. So you become one with that fruit. That's why it's good to eat seeded fruits, because if you do, and you eat the seed, and you ingest the seed, you ingest the growth part of that fruit, right? So when they ate the fruit, they ate the seed. This is the metaphorical thing of this scripture. And they ate the seed and became one with them. So one with them is basically hearing that, okay, well, now if I look at this like this, surely I won't die, but now I know that these are evil things. At first, I didn't know this was evil. Remember, Abba is like, who told you were naked, right? These things weren't something you had to worry about before, but now that you know about it, now you can actually look at it. Now you have to worry about it. Now you have to use Zion. Now you have to use the things that are planted in earth, moved by waters, which are started by winds, okay? So this again, more metaphorical mindset is what we go through here. So when we have the waters and the earth, okay, the waters can represent people, a mindset, wickedness. Imagine a sea filled with things, but it's moved by wind. Wind can also be seen as the Holy Spirit in Scripture, also as breath. Adam walked with the wind in the cool of the day. This would be the Holy Spirit. This would be the righteous mindset before the knowledge of evil, right? So these winds are the first stage of water. Waters move things greatly. You sail on waters. The Messiah walked on waters. Moses went through the Exodus, split waters, right? Struck the rock, waters came out. We could go all around the waters. What else? Jordan. Joshua went across the Jordan, right? That's on the second Passover. That's a deeper dive in there if you want to dive in there. Another rabbit hole. Second Passover. That's another water. Baptizing, being baptized in the waters, right? John the Baptist also being the one who worked the earth and the water, as in not only baptizing the Messiah, but being able to be in earth, being able to be a seed planted in earth to do the righteous things of waters. The Messiah walking on waters when he was with the disciples. That happened because that was around the time he started his ministry, right? Around the time all this is going on, it's going on around the waters. A lot of metaphorical things in the Bible, in the scroll, in the one whole scroll, is about waters. The earth sits on waters, things like that of that nature. Let's keep going in, right? So we look at Zion, and I'm looking at Zion as I'm prepared for this, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, and as I'm talking with Abba, I'm like, hey, if you start, just looking at this a little bit, right? And you start drawing a couple lines, you start connecting a couple things, and you start to see a couple things, and you start to realize that this starts to look like something else now. Something else that happened in the Bible, right? Something else that happened that needed a big object to float on some water, right? But this all comes from Zion. That's a very rough sketch, but that's how I got to this idea of not only being a harvesting tool of earth, but also a harvesting tool of water. Because Zion is not only a tool, but also considered to be a container, right? And to be considered a container, an object must possess an interior space to contain contents. That's a mindset. That's a ba'ite. And a definable exterior structure. That's a alav that provides protection. That's for the other ba'ite. Organization or portability or potability. That's the other alav. So in that Abba process, what he gives us is a container. He gives us something to work with. He gives us a Zion. He actually sits on Mount Zion, right? Also as well, of knowing about the working of earth and water, how it all comes together, keeping that in mind. That's what we're going with along this mindset, along this trail that we're going on. That's what we're going with for Zion, for the Testament of ZABVLAN, to bring all this together. So keep in mind that this is a work of earth, a work of water. So this is a work of mind and a work of body. These two things you must keep up with. You must keep up with what you're given, and you must see where you're placed in order to get what's going on around you. That's the only way to figure this thing out. So if you're not able to work the earth and the water, if you're not able to see what Abba has planted into the earth that's moved by waters, because also look at this too. Earth sits on top of waters, right? So Shabbat Shalom, sis. Oh, Shalom, Barak. And in order to see that the earth sits on top of water. So when we plant seeds, again, metaphorical mindset, keeping that in mind, we plant seeds, right? You plant seeds into the ground that's on top of water, right? But also water goes on top of that. So it's consumed by water in order to bring forth the growth process. So the waters is how things are moved, okay? Now that we said it quite a few times, now let's dive in to Psalms 119, verse 49. We're going to go to verse 56. So every time you're going through life, this is why it's great to know Hebrew characters and apply Hebrew characters, because this is Abba talking to us. So Abba talks Hebrew character, and Hebrew character comes together to make a quote unquote word. That's like Abba talking to himself, but able to hear something, to see that we're able to understand what he's saying and able to really talk back in a way that he's saying, okay, well, if you know this, that means you had to deep dive a little bit to be even able to be able to talk to me. Basically what I'm getting to. So in order to be able to talk to him, these Hebrew characters, blah, 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 you've been able to understand these things and talk back. So Abba uses Yahweh Alachayim. Before we dive in, this one last time, Abba uses Yahweh Alachayim. Abba is Abba. Abba is Father. They asked the Messiah one last time, how are we supposed to pray? In what mindset, in what frame are we supposed to pray? He said first, our Father who art in heaven. Not, he knew the term Yahweh. He knew the term Alachayim. It would have been translated to Lord God in the Bible now in English, but it would have been stated there. But he said no. He said, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. So in set in stone is your righteous work through the earth. And those that could see the connection, those that could see the background of it, those that could see Abba before Yahweh Alachayim, those are the ones that are able to be the points in earth that are connected to heaven, right? That's that whole verse. That's where we're coming from, that mindset. So, verse 49 of Psalms 119, it says, remember or bring back to yourself in those times the word unto thy servant, upon which thou hast caused me to hope. This is my comfort in my affliction, for thy word hath quickened me. The proud have had me greatly in derision, or below the mindset you're supposed to be. It literally looks like D rising, right? The proud have had me greatly in derision, distracted by what you see around yourself. Yet have I not declined from thy law. Yet have I not forgotten that you are first, right? I remembered thy judgments, and that's basically creation. They remember creation. They remember what happened throughout this whole process. They see that, okay, in the beginning, they see, okay, now. They see, okay, past, present, future, connection. They see all these things. I remembered thy judgments of old, O Yahweh. Yahweh, I say there because that is the righteous direction that I'm talking about. Of who? Of Abba, right? So it will say, I remembered thy judgments of old, O Yahweh, and have comforted myself, or have consumed or wrapped myself up in like a warm blanket of these precepts, of these laws of understanding now. Verse 53, horror hath taken hold upon me because of the wicked that forsake thy law. What does that mean? That means exactly what we were talking about in the beginning. Let's read that again. It says, horror hath taken hold upon me because of the wicked that forsake thy law. In the beginning, what happened? Adam ad Iazar, Adam and Eve. In the beginning, they were made aware of some things. They ate a fruit. That fruit had seed. They became one with that fruit. And that fruit said, surely, well, before that, the influence that they heard was, surely you won't die. No, not technically, but now that innocence part of you has, right? That's what it's talking about there. Horror have taken hold upon me because of the wicked that forsake that law. That's where it started from, way in the beginning. And where it came to now is where those evil things have multiplied, have gone deeper, have spread, have attached themselves to many different things and able to work many different things now because they're able to attach to more, because our minds are the access portal for it to keep on attaching to certain different things, right? For example, if I get mad about something, if I keep thinking about that mad thing, my reaction of what I want to do because I'm mad will start developing. It will start increasing because I've thought about that one thing. But now that one thing, I'm able to see that and able to express my anger in many different ways. It wasn't always like that. That's what I'm getting with that. But let's keep reading. Verse 54. Thy statutes have been my songs in the house of my pilgrimage. Right? I have remembered thy name. I have remembered thy name, thy authority, O Yahweh. I have remembered the authority of the righteous direction that you have given me. I have remembered that. So now that I see that Abba, I've seen Abba use Yahweh, or I've seen Abba use Yao Chai Vav Chai. He's used these four characters. And when he put those four characters together, it sounds like Yahweh, right? But it's all of Abba. Abba, Yahweh, Allah Hayam. All one thing. If you want to really break it up to try to, get your mind wrapped around that, you can just say Abba, and then stop there and say Yahweh Allah Hayam. That's one big old, that's where I'm getting with this. Not saying that's not his name, not his authority. It is, but that's just a section of it. There's also Yahashpha. There's also Meshacheh. There's also Ravak. There's also Hakodash. There's also all these things. These are different steps. There's also you. There's also me. It keeps going. It keeps breaking down. You see what I'm saying now? So first is always Abba. Always Abba. See, like I don't think many people caught what the Messiah was doing right there. He was pretty much cutting off. I realized a lot of stuff early. If you really paid attention to what he was doing and saying, first he said, right, our Father who art in heaven. right there. That cuts off everything. Can you see that you're loved? Do you know that you're loved? Right? To dwell on right what is righteous exactly. You see? Now everything it shifts, it changes up now. It goes back to and covers really for you to be able to see where people are in life. For you to be able to see and let them. I like to say this. First thing you want to do, right, is be understanding. If anything first be understanding. That means not just of the law and the guidelines, because what we're set in, the funny thing is everything we're set in is not something that's supposed to be set in. Like it's not supposed to set to fit. It's supposed to set to make it fit. You see what I'm saying? Depending on where it's supposed to fit. So everything we're set in isn't something that's honky-dory and beautiful and lovely all the time. Sometimes, yes, but even those beautiful things, we still have to figure out how to work for other things. What we're set in is never what we're supposed to be set in, so always be looking. What we're given is never the final outcome if you think about it. What we're given and we start to look at, like if I look at this TV right here, keep looking at it, eventually one or two things are going to happen. It's going to cut off or it's going to go to another channel. You see, it's never going to be the same thing always. But in order to see this, you have to really concentrate on your mindset. You know, I was talking to my homeboy the other day and I was like, well, if you think about it, everything in life is either straight or curved. It's either a straight point or it's a curve around to get to the same point, right? That's all it is. But once you start breaking it down and seeing things for what they really are, it really helps you see it's Abba. And then Abba helps you see the righteous direction through the blood, water, and spirit, through the earth, through Arat, which is who we are, right? And that concludes the last two verses of Psalms 119, verse 49 through 56 about ZAYAN. It says, I have remembered thy name, O Yahweh, in the night, in the darkness, and have kept thy law, because in the darkness is where we get tested. This I had because I kept thy precepts. Thy precepts. What is that? That is the set, the viewpoint, the vision, the eye, right? Of before. That's because I've kept the vision. I kept in the mindset of Abba. You see how this really breaks down really truly to what it's supposed to be. Because I kept that, now I can see this, even in the dark. And that dark being people, places, things. I made a joke last week talking about people ask me all the time, what don't you like? I was like, well, I don't like nouns. Those are people, places, and things. making it a joke, right? But no, I'm a follower of the way. But this is how we see everything for what it really is, to go deeper into it, to see what the character of ZAYAN really goes into, right? Over time, these things have been taken into concepts, many different concepts, and broken down and magnified, right? But after they're magnified, they weren't put back together to the whole thing. That's always the problem. See, what happens with all these denominations and different septs and different places is they take the idea, certain parts of it, they'll take certain characters of it, really, because all this is a character, right? They'll take different aspects of these characters and they'll magnify it. They'll get all consumed in it. But then they'll keep it and say, well, this is the best part. This is the highest part. Oftentimes, even those that are followers of the way do the same thing. That's a problem, because first people forget to see Abba, right? Abba is all. From that vision, from that mind state into the house, and then back into that righteous house mind state, back to Abba. So it goes from Abba to a woe lowly soul like I, to a happy righteous soul like I. Thank you, Abba. That's the mindset. That's that floating on waters. That's that rocking of the boat. You see what I'm saying? But oftentimes people have taken one piece of wood and say, this is the piece that you really need. Yes, but it all goes to building the ark. You see? But if we see things from Abba first, it helps us even see where the issues are with everybody else in a nice way. Like, you know, you ain't got to be so. You see how that worked? Like, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, what just happened there, that's an example, right? Smooth, calm, collective, right? Let's keep going. Blessed Abba. I'm on. That's the concept. So, also on that point, that's why I love like just jumping in, and that's why it sounds like a little bit of a crash, bumpy landing sometimes, is because one thing I've been really honing in on, right, is not only just being placed, but realizing where you're being placed, but also remember that you're not going to be in the quote unquote syllabus order of everybody else. And what in the world do I mean by that? Nothing in the world. But what I mean spiritually by that is we are placed in different roles. And Tada, sis was putting me on game, and she helped me realize a lot about my life. But being placed in what you're placed in, you're supposed to see certain things in order to be able to carry these things properly, right? So you carry these things properly. You stay with the way. So, point blank example. Nothing against preachers in the pulpit, but those preachers in the pulpit have this order of service, right? I don't work like that. I'm not placed over there. There's some issues over there. There's righteous intent, but that we're not even going to go into that rabbit hole. For example, those that are here pretty much know how we're supposed to think. So boom, I'm not there doing this because my mindset, I'm not supposed to be sitting in that flow of things. What happens is I'll leave my ear purely open to Ravak, purely open during this whole process. So the Holy Spirit, what that is, for those that might get a little thrown off by that, that's like a pure mind state, right? Knowing all the information that was given to you for this lesson that you studied on between you and Father, between you and Abba, right? You got all this information. You try to put them in points, but the points don't really line up, right? So like, okay, whatever. I know I'm supposed to do this. I'm just gonna jump right on in. But yet, as you jump in and as you start speaking, those points start to line up for those teachers that's becoming teachers. Those points will start to line up, right? You'll be able to start free forming. You start to be able to what we used to call it, open gym. You feel me? You be able to cross between the legs a little bit, dribble around a little bit. You might hit a hook shot, say, "Oh snap, I made that." You know, that's what this is. So don't get discouraged about things. Remember, Moses, terrible stutter. Aaron or Aaron, you know, he had his back, but he had a little bit of anger issues. How do you even know that, Stephen? Well, because if you know, look at the natural to see the supernatural, right? As we're just going wherever we're going by Ravak. Aaron let the people build the golden calf, right? So there had to be a point, just like with Adam. There had to be a point where he said, "Oh, bah humbug, forget it. Y'all just do what y'all do. Grab the gold. Y'all want this so bad. Number, right?" He got fed up. He got irritated. That would mean that's an anger problem, right? But if you don't see things as source, action, source, you're going to miss even looking for first being understanding, right? First being understanding. Because what we're set in ain't really what it's just only supposed to be. See how all that loop back together by just talking? Just let Ravak go. Just let it flow. Just let it flow. Aman. So now that we got Zayan together, we see Zayan is not only a harvesting tool for harvesting the ground, or cutting down stalks or whatever, right? But it's also a harvester of water, because in order to be successful in life, you must be able to be more than a conqueror and step upon and be able to work yourself through the power given to you by Abba. You must be able to work these things out, right? You must be able to contain them. We think about Ark of the Covenant. We think about Noah's Ark. We think about how some things aren't able to even be touched if it's not in the right position or the right place. Remember Dagon and with the Ark of the Covenant, things like that. So also you would need that's a container to be on the water, right? So when the Messiah was on the boat with the disciples, right, and they were scared of a storm, and he was taking a nap on the boat, sleeping upon the boat, upon waters, right? Walking upon waters, calling the leafy one out there upon the waters, right? So this means a lot. Earth is always touching waters. Earth is always touching circumstance. Water is a phase, right? We're gonna get real deep. Water is a phase. So water starts by, first off, gas. Gas goes to liquid, which goes to solid. Remember, ice is still water. It's just having a hard time, right? So in the beginning, when we have those gases, liquids, and solids, right? What came from that was the compaction of elements. So we have those gases that are heated up. For those that don't know, we'll break that down. For those that don't know, gases in the beginning were a thing by themselves. They were heated up and then cooled down. And when those gases were cooled down, now we have waters. Those waters have elements in them, right? All the elements of the ground are found in water, which started from already gases, right? Something that moves but we can't see. We can see that as wind, right? Those things come together and compact. They compact so much, right? They compact so much. What comes from that is underwater volcanoes, if you will. These volcanoes erupt, settle. Now we have islands. Now we have lands. Okay, that's how that process goes. But it all needed water. It sets upon water. It has to get to a water phase before it starts coming together, right? Um, 1 second. What's going on is it started raining and my windows are down. So 1 second. 1 second. I'm on. All right. All right. Now we're back. We're back. I was making a joke to myself too. I'm like, well, people be asking like, why don't you ever put your face on camera? I'm like, well, first off, I feel like that distracts sometimes. With my face be doing facial expressions, but also, you know, boom, my face popped up on there for a second, so replay it back. But let's keep going. Where were we even at? Do. Dang on it. All right, the water was affecting. Got to be able to know how to go with the water. We're gonna pick up from there. All right. Elements. Boom. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So when these things come together, okay, these things come together. Elements, waters. So when these waters compact, they come together. They push up mountains, right? Yes, ice. Thank you. Tada says Tada. So they come together. Remember how everything has a process. It starts from the elements singled together, singled by themselves, which is gas, which is also wind. Wind goes to water. Water can go solid, right? Remember that ice is still water, it's just having a hard time. But when water comes together, it starts compacting, it starts to push up these things called mountains, right? And upon these mountains are where we find works of life, things of life. Um, let's see what else. Also, that's where we're going. All right, Mount Hermon. Boom, Mount Hermon or Mount Hermon. All praise be to the Most High Yah. Tada Abba. So Mount Hermon. So when we go talk about Mount Hermon, those that don't know, Mount Hermon is spelled or written out, if that scared you, Mtherman. Hebrew characters Har instead of that E because there was no E back then. So even with Het, people pronounce it modern days Het, Het, that would have been an A. But that also goes with the character of that represents Holy Spirit, which is also Hay. So you have to know the difference between high and height. You know, there's a little difference in that too. So that's a study key right there for you as well. But Mount Hermon, right? This is a mountain where, yeah, let's go. Go ahead and flip to Matthew chapter. While I'm talking about this, Matthew chapter 17, I believe it is. Let's see where we at. Where we at? Matthew 17. Or was it 14? Yes, Matthew 17. We're gonna read the whole chapter of Matthew 17. Go ahead and flip there while I'm talking about this. And boom, bam. All right. So mountain. We got mountain from all that water coming together, right? Because waters is what travels, what has things travel across vast places. Anything that happens, anything that moves, even in air, has to know how to go on water. Even when a plane might just not land in the proper place, right? They prepare for a landing in water, right? Everything that flies must be able to land in water for emergencies. Everything is moved by water. This is the mindset. We thinking deep over here, right? So on Mount Hermon or Mount Hermon, if you would look on, but I'll go ahead and show this picture to y'all right here. Let's see. Well, if you look up Mount Hermon, because I don't want to lose this picture. Look on that Mount Hermon. On the top of it is usually a snowy place in the right weather places, right weather time, right time of weather. You know, as we're thinking deeper, the way we even say things has to be wise, right? But you have snow on the top of the mountain. That's where we get the snow that turns into water. That same water trickles down, and stuff like that into the city for people to use. It helps. What's the word for that? It helps enrich the people, which helps enrich the city. Let's go with that. So we have the water that comes from ice, right? That ice melts, drips down, and feeds the plains, feeds the trees, feeds the animals, and stuff like that. Hits the people, feeds the people. Now the people can enrich what it has to, what they have to, and they then again cross waters, right? That's the mindset we're going in right here. So Mount Hermon or Mount Hermon is believed to be the place that's talked about in Matthew 17. It's still up for debate, to keep it a buck with you. But this is generically the place that is seen as where Yahushua took Peter's and James, where the transfiguration happened when they saw Moses and Elijah, when they saw the Messiah talking to Moses and Elijah. That's what we're about to read in now. And break down what happens in there, even some Hebrew characters in there too. So that's why they think that this is the place. Also, it's very relatively close to Caesarea Philippi. You remember where they were talking about where he said this would be the place where it all starts, essentially. It was where the most wicked of wicked things, the idols and everything like that. They talked about Hades. There was a cave of Hades and stuff like that believed there. People really believed this stuff, right? That's the same mountain that they were on, the same place. But when they took him when he went to the top of the top of Mount Hermon or Mount Hermon is about roughly 92,000 feet, right? So a very high place. And at the bottom of that place, they saw and found the cave. So they figured they were at the mountain bottom or the bottom point of Mount Hermon when all this stuff happened, where he was talking to the disciples and stuff like that. Again, not 100% fact, but 98% fact. No, but close to see that we can see that this is about the closest highest mountain point to where everything was happening. So we're gonna roll with this, right? And this mountain range stretches vastly as well once we get into it, right? All praises. So we're gonna get into Matthew 17, and we're in this mindset that we're in right here at this point. We're kind of jumping around, but it's all in the same mindset, right? And sis, when you see this, you're going to catch the recording. I feel so sorry for you, sis. Love you though. But this is family. Let's go to Matthew 17. Keep in mind the mountain. Keep in mind how the mountain comes to be. Keep in mind what the mountain sits upon, which is waters. Keep in mind the Messiah. One of his first big things was walking on water and getting baptized in water. Keep in mind John the Baptist, being the one that worked earth, which is human, if we want to go like that really quick. And then also worked water. Knew the works of earth, and knew the works of earth had to be dipped into water for full wisdom, right? So let's go to Matthew 17. And this is basically, we're precepting this whole concept of Zion. And then after this, yes, the womb. Oh, great day. Yes, the womb as well. Because the earth must be put into the womb in order to come forth out of, there we go. See, that's what I'm saying. Rabat moves. Rabat moves. Oftentimes when we go through stuff like this, sis, too, for your adventures as well, a lot of times what happens there like that is the whole concept of the mind. And we need people, and to have people around us that's able to do stuff like that, because it consumes and covers the parts of things, because sometimes it can get to be a lot. Like we went through this whole series, you already know, we went through the stones, we went through all types of things. But to bring all that together at one point, man, that's tough. So the right things had to be pulled out, but you got to know when the right things got to be pulled out. So yeah, basically, kudos for that. That's big lion move right there. Big lion move. All praises. Let's go to Matthew 17 and start reading. And it says, and after 6 days, so right there, 6, we're going to start right there. Skirt. That's Vav, right? Vav is nailed in place. So we can see here in studying script, we can see here that this concept, not just each verse goes with the whole chapter, so every verse in this chapter relates, but also we can see that the concept of the mindset is what's nailed in place, right? What's nailed in place here? We have the Messiah. We have Peter, but Peter before the other name. And then we have James and John, the Messiah's brother, right? No, James, say Peter, James, and John, his brother, right? And bring them up into a high mountain apart, right? So taking them to a high place, set apart, brought apart from people, okay? And right here is what we had nailed in place. A point in life where you're stuck in this one position, right? This sounds like a generic story across the scroll. It can. But essentially this scroll is given to us for our livelihood. Again, what we're set in is not perfect. What we're set in is not exactly what it's supposed to be. But what we're set in, we're supposed to make fit. You see? So this is what's happening here. What's nailed in place. We're about to see that concept, okay? And it says, chapter 17, and after 6 days, Yehoshaphat taketh Peter, James, and John, and his brother, and bringeth them up into a high mountain apart, and was transfigured or changed before them. Right? So at this high point of the mountain, after on this point of being nailed to something, if you even want to take it back to the 6 days out of 7, because everything has to be applied to the beginning. Every concept in the beginning, it comes from the planter of seed, Abba. But we can also boom, skip it down a little bit. But the day 6, boom, and then the day 7 is the day of rest. So right before the resting, right, right before realizing what's going on, right before realizing what you got to get to, right before realizing what's needed to make things work together, right before realizing life for what it is and what is given to you in that moment. Because sometimes it can be seen as distraction. Sometimes it can be seen as unwanted, unwanted favor, right? Salah on that. Salah, we got the salah on that. Sometimes it can be seen as unwanted favor, because it's all favor. Can we agree? It's all favor. Some is wanted, some isn't, right? So now we see the sept of unwanted favor. But it's all favor. It's all necessary for you to have. You just got to see what you need from it in every situation. That's about it. There's going to be a point where in this walking with the Messiah, because if ye be risen, just like in Colossians chapter 1, if ye be risen like Christ, or like the Messiah, right? Like the Messiah, like the example, that he's going to meet you at this point in whatever you're going through, right? And also notice these people that's with him at this point too. Might be a little bit too much for today, but also realize who he's with as well, right? And also see what happened. He was transfigured. He was changed before their eyes. So what they see, that Aleph Ba'ai, that Abba is going on. Because when you saw him, you saw the Father, right? We'll also read down here as well when it talks about his face shone, right? A difference there when we get there later in Matthew 17. If we think about before, Moses, when he saw the glory, right? Couldn't even look upon it. But around it, his face shone, right? Because of what was shown upon him. When we read in the scripture in Matthew 17, nothing was shown upon the Messiah. The Messiah's face shone, right? Shined. But that's improper. It's going to bother me if I keep saying that. But we see the difference here. So we can even take that, even going deeper into the scripture, and go back to that point to think, who were they looking at? What were they looking at? You know, is there a reason why Moses wasn't able to see the face, you know, of a representative, right? At that time, you know, being one. You know, these thoughts can have you deep diving into things and get you to realizing and get you to put some things together. Just some maybes. Now, these things aren't concrete, but my mind goes to these places when I think about that. And I save thinking about it for now so I can just purely get it out. But just thinking about, you know, when you saw him, you saw the Father. Messiah being there in the beginning of time, right? Because in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with the righteous direction. The Word is the righteous direction, right? All Abba, right? So you see him, you see the Father. On the right hand of the Father is the Word. A representation. Is there a reason why he could only look at the feet? If he would have looked up, you know, he would have had to die because he wouldn't be able to tell what the Messiah maybe looked like. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? We're not saying the Messiah because that's when people get that the Messiah is Al-Khayam. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You see how people could get these things, and you see exactly how that little tidbit of me just saying that could have people thinking, oh, well, he is, and he is. No, well, he is of. You got to get that perception right of Abba, right? But for a representation of Abba to be here on earth, would it have always had to been the Messiah, as it was always written to be? You know what I'm saying? That's the guideline we were going with that. Not saying that was who was on the mount, you know, but in that concept, in that mind frame of things, we can start to see things open up a little bit. You know, start to see a connection, not having to necessarily name the connection. You see, that's the important part of this whole thing of Abba. Like, I promise you this is about the testament of Zebulon, but it's really about Abba. Like, that's what it's really about. Let's keep reading. And he was transfigured, verse 2 of Matthew chapter 17. And he was transfigured or changed before them, and his face did shine as the sun, right? Not because of what? That's because that's who he was transfigured to be, in his pure self. So in that point, in that moment, he would have to be his pure self in order to be recognized or seen or to do what he had to do, right? In order to speak to Moses and Elijah. Now, this wasn't the spirit of Moses and Elijah. This was literally Moses and literally Elijah. Also, what's crazy about this is when the disciples saw them, right? They was like, oh, that's Moses, that's Elijah. But how long before this did Moses and Elijah technically move on from earth? So how do they even know what they look like? So at that moment, even who's around this can tell what's going on. Because if you know, you know, right? If you know he's talking to two people, these people got to be Moses and Elijah, right? So that would tell you right there, a good thing to study would be Moses and Elijah. This is what the word does for you. Oftentimes, in many places, stuff is skipped out on the word for benefits. And I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. Because what is one thing a human doesn't want to do but benefit? Right? And you can see things benefit you in such a way for so long that you don't want to give it up. Now, is that righteous? Of course it's not. But I get it. You know what I'm saying? But when we're speaking the truth and as we're breaking it down, that's why I like doing this, because once you get the truth out there, you know, it's free of charge. I ain't got, you know, I don't even want to just say, don't even give me no credit. Just take it and go with it. You know what I'm saying? I'll see sometimes a couple of things I'll say being in some other lessons and sermons and stuff like that. I love it. Like that's exactly what this is for, because we got to get this out there, because when the truth is there, leave the people that are greedy in their place and just help the people that's around them. When you want to to be a shepherd, you're worried about the sheep, not more so the competitive shepherd. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, don't even know what that was for, but apparently needed to go there. Let's keep going. And his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. So therefore, he was configured back into who he needed to be, who he is in the beginning, always was. So he's a bright, bright, shining light right now, in the middle of darkness, on this high mountaintop with Moses and Elijah of wisdom, right? On after 6 days of being nailed in place, everything coming together, right? Yeah, rewards coming to those who glorify his name. Exactly. Exactly. And that's talking about what the imprint is all together. Right? So verse 3, it said, and behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elias, it says there, but that's translation of Elijah, talking with him. So we read right there in verse 3, it says, and behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elijah, right? But it doesn't say the spirit of, because it will say in the Bible the spirit of. This is what we do here. We study, we go deep into it because we like to see everything, right? It says, and behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elijah. So verse 2, and was transfigured before them, and his face did shine as the sun. That sounds a whole lot like what happened on the mountaintop, right? That's what I was saying with that. And his raiment was white as the light. His raiment. They didn't say nothing about his feet. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes if you're trying to surprise somebody, you don't let the person see the face of who's about to surprise them. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot. There's a lot in there. There's a lot. All right, let's keep going. Then answered Peter. And then you think also as well, like, who is in the righteous direction of Abba, right? You know what I'm saying? So once you know these characters, you can see the background of it. Others will try to say, well, you got to be careful with that, because that means you're saying that Jehoshaphat is Yahweh, is Elohim, is Ravak, is of all that. Is of all that. But you know, if you really understand culture, if you're really willing to dive deep into culture, we can talk. But if not, see where they are. Let them write the day for you. Let them write exactly what they're saying. And believe everything they're saying initially. Because those that are here can hear what people say initially, believe what they're saying initially, and then in your mind, you can see exactly where they started hitting that fault button, right? You can see how it all comes together. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep going. Verse 4, then answered Peter and said unto Jehoshaphat, Adon, is it Tabah or righteous for us to be here? Why did they say that? Let's go back to Exodus. Why did they say that? Because before, they probably heard about a time where somebody might have walked up to a mountain and saw something like this, maybe. And maybe, just perhaps, he wasn't supposed to look up, because if he looked up, he would have had to die right there. Just maybe. Maybe that's why they're asking if they should even be here seeing this, because maybe, just maybe. Let's keep going. So then answered Peter and said unto Jehoshaphat, Adon, is it Tabah for us to be here? If thou wilt, let us make here 3 tabernacles, or sacred tents, one for thee, one for Moses or Moshe or Musa, and one for Elias, right? So if you had to make 3 tents, right, that's what these were, or bites, right? Bite, that character. Let's see, do I still have that written up here? We're going that real quick too. I noticed about Ba'ite. So Ba'ite right here, that's like a tabernacle. That's a dwelling place. So this right here is a cave, right? So imagine walking up into the cave. That's what a Ba'ite is as well. But also out of the righteous house, from the right going to the left. Who's on the left and who sits on the right? Okay, so in that direction you're walking to out of that dwelling place is towards the Father of Allah, right? Us being here, right to left, all characters go right to left. That we're on the right, looking to the left, where is the Father who gives out a way of righteousness, a way of wickedness. There's a place where it connects, where we're supposed to be at, and we got to see the connecting points in order to keep walking out of the righteous house. I love Ba'ite. You know what I'm saying? So as we go deeper into that, we can see how things develop, right? Even how that ZAYAN, actually, you could draw it and it could turn into a tabernacle. I mean, a ark, Noah's ark as well, right? Tada Abba for artistic mind. But let's keep going. Yes, those are the tabernacles. So if they had to build tabernacles, or if they had to build tents, right? That means that they would have to build them for people. So that's how you know right there it was actually Moses and actually Elijah. Right there at that moment, written to be. It had to be, right? Let's keep going. Verse 5. And we're all still on Zion. We're all still on Testament of Zebulon or ZABVLAN. We're going to actually read that last to close it all together, right? All praises. Yeah, Khan. because of that, I think about how even our great, etc. grandfather Abram, how it was even downloaded to him. You know what I'm saying? Now, right? But just how it was downloaded, had to take him just to staring out at something. This is where my mind goes when I study the scripture. I think about our ancestors and how they were able to see things. They just kept looking at it. They kept looking at it. They kept looking at it until eventually it appeared to be what it needed to be. And it appeared to be the message that they needed to hear. Okay? So I even thought about, I'm pretty sure I'm going to put together a whole diagram because I'm going through the characters now as I'm doing this side study thing that I got going on that Abba has me in. But I'm going to draw exactly what helps me see things, right? And to help others see things in the way that it'll help stick to their mind. Not saying, again, this is the end all be all. Not saying that at all, but another way to see it. Just like writing in cursive, for those that know cursive. Yeah, he did just sit there and stare out, right? Because he looked at the sun. He said, surely this is, right? And he looked at the moon, said, surely this is. And he found out no, but this took him staring. He looked at them idols and smashed all them things, right? He was searching. He was staring. He was looking. You know, they try to tell you well, it is kind of true. If you keep staring at one point, you might just start hallucinating. But you got to know the difference, right? But let's keep reading. Verse 5 of chapter 17 of Matthew. It says, while he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. Again, what does that sound like? You see the correlation here? But also at that point, now to help those that are really afraid of what I even be saying when I go to that point or reference that motif. Also what happened at that mount was a 40-day, 40-night process. Or there was a 40 process, right? And there was also a 7 days, right? I believe. Yeah, 7 days in that process as well. And that is the beginning of time, right? We are placed in time. Abba created time for us. That's what we are in, right? And making sure y'all can still hear me too. Yeah, we're back. I don't know. I think there's a limit on here, and before it puts it together the time. So I'll be looking sometime. Anyway, not important. Yes, and there's a 40-day process, 40-night process. There was a 7-day process on top of that mountain as well for all this to happen. There's a bright cloud over. There was a point where it was nothing but bright light. The raiment shone bright, could only see the feet, right? All this is being described here again. At that mount, Moses was given the commandments. He was given the righteous direction. He was given Yad He, or Yad Chai, Vav Chai. That's what he was given. He was given the righteous direction of who? Abba, right? So we're going to Abba. He gets the righteous direction. That's why he tells them, I am that I am, or it is that it is. It is what it is, because everything that is the righteous direction for it. So everything is Yahweh. There's a 10-5, 6-5 in the DNA strand of everything living. That's why they get that. I'll be careful where I go to. But there is 10-5, 6-5 in everything. So everything has to have 10-5, 6-5. That is the correlation. Easy peasy. Don't worry about how much is this, how much is that. Why is this? They look like this. They look like that. Everything's in the righteous direction. So that's what's being counted. This is the thing with that messes up what class we were in school in, right? That's what messes it up on that side of things, because it takes away looking at this, right? Not with all, but that's a big old concept right there. But yes, there's a whole process there. So what's described here in Matthew 17, go back and study this again. Even after this, you will see, study this, and then go to Moses when he was on Mount Sinai, right? and go to Matthew 17. But then also at that same time, go to Elijah, all of Elijah. I feel like we're being led to a study on Elijah. Sis Shantae, she man, she been bringing up Elijah to me a lot, and it's meaning something. So I might even get her help on that a lot too, to see if I'm able to do that. But anyway, that's why I'm getting to this, because even verse 5 it says, while he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. Let's keep going. So who is this bright cloud? And behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, this is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him. Right? That same cloud. Think about Mount Sinai. All together. You see, that's what I'm saying. I wasn't just stopping at one point saying the Messiah this, Messiah that. It keeps going. Right? Always hear it out. Always hear it out. Don't get too excited and start cutting things off. They call that ADHD of what I have, but it's actually a gift, because I'm able to think about 50 million things at one time and make things come together, so I don't have to write out notes or a syllabus or a dot by dot by dot stanza in order to speak to people, to speak with people, to speak life. You just let life. But oftentimes when you try to put that into a setting or into a room and you try to make it fit somewhere it's not supposed to fit, right? Remember we were talking about that earlier, where we're not supposed to fit there. So obviously, it's going to be something that's not seen as necessary there. So there's a name put on it, and when you see this name, now you think, okay, this is a bad thing. Okay, we got to make sure we pound and pound and pound and pound and pound this into their mind, and nail and nail and nail and nail this into their mind, right? You see how that comes from? So don't be, I guess that's going out there too. Don't be ashamed of that. Use that. That turned into art for me. That turned into this for me. That turned into work for me. Driving trucks for me. Cooking for me. You feel me? Use it. Use it. Yah has given us the righteous direction, has given us, right? Now that we know what that really means, Abba has given us through Yahweh. He's given us through that action what we need. We just have to figure out how to make it fit. That's it. We just have to figure that out. No matter how fast it comes in, no matter how slow it comes out, no matter how quick you try to get it out, no matter how quick you try to write it down, figure it out, because it can be figured out. That's what this is all about. Going deeper into things, figuring it out, but then also understanding that Zion is a worker of not just earth, but of water as well. Zion is a container. Is able to contain things and able to make things potable to grow. Inside of that ark carried everything. Inside of that womb was everything you needed. Is everything you need. And when you get out into the world, you work what you were given in the womb when you're out here in the world. That's a bar. That's a bar. Shout out to sis for that too. Like, whatever you're using in that womb, we get all that nutrients up in there. We get everything we need up in there. And then we come out here, we got to use everything we were given. But there's still some sincere milk at first. But then eventually, even that milk, you got to be ready to be in the wilderness. And even after the wilderness, where you see all these miracle things happen to help you out, eventually you get to the part where the miraculous wilderness, there ain't no more of those miracles. Ain't no more manna. You gotta really be on it. You gotta really be in it. That's why even starting out with this, you want to read from Genesis to Revelation, and then Revelation back to Genesis. Because once you realize, all right, the way it goes through, but now you see how to get to that mindset, how to get to that Chazan, right? Or Hazan, how you get to that point. Because of the mindset in the beginning, because of having that garden mindset. Remember, that's where we even started with all this, and that was even groundbreaking for many. We started that over there on the TikTok. All those are on here too, though, but they come up as videos versus live sessions. So they're in one of those two places, but we're going through every single one of the Yakab bag, being in the bag. We're on Zebulon, and you see how we go from different parts of each one. Another reason why I kind of strayed away from the stones as well is because it gets to a point where nobody knows what these stones really were called. even that point too. Even what they were, what they looked like, or what they were even called at some point. Maybe this one, maybe that one. And I said maybe a headache. We're not even gonna do that. Just like reading in the apocryphal text. The parts of the scroll but just was taken away, because that's all the apocrypha is. Apocrypha is the Apocrypha, you got the Bible, all that's one scroll, like we know. Those parts that they took on and said, they don't need to know that. So basically, the historical parts of our ancestry, right? Over here in the Apocrypha, we read the Testament of the 12 patriarchs. That's what it's labeled as where I'm referencing from. And even then, you got to realize that you need to go in birthing order in order to see the righteous direction of how Abba uses Yod Hey Vav Hey. Okay, I'm gonna start saying it like that. How Abba uses Yod Hey Vav Hey, um, through the names of the 12 sons. There's more. There's sister. Remember, but just like in the beginning, where there was Adam Izar, then Adam Aisha, right? Which is Adam, where help is met, or the meeting place of help meet, and then she becomes wife, Aisha. Okay. We have Cain, Abel. Abel gets off, right? Then we have Seth, and then we go down the line. We're not even gonna do that today, but each one has a name in order, right? So if they have a name in order, a birth order, why wouldn't you do that in the testament of the 12 patriarchs? Why wouldn't you put that in birthing order? It might be set right there to confuse people. Even then, even when they give you something more to read from, there's still some possibility of confusion there. Be aware, be careful, be mindful of all that. All that. On. Yeah, we need lineage, not the myths. Come on now. That's the part. That's the part. All right. We're back in Matthew 17, verse 6. And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their face and were sore afraid. And Yehoshua came and touched them and said, Arise and be not afraid. This is him talking to us in every situation we go through. We look towards his example, right? Verse 8. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man, save Yehoshua only. So when they looked up, they saw nobody else but Yehoshua. So that means no more bright white raiment. That means no more Moses and Elijah. Okay, let's keep reading. That means something. Salah and all that. Verse 9, and they came down from the mountain. Yehoshua charged them, saying, Tell the vision to no man, until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead. And his disciples asked him, saying, Why then say the scribes that Elijah must first come? If they're not supposed to say anything. And those that know, this gets funny. It says, and Yehoshua answered and said unto them, Elijah truly shall first come and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elijah is come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed or desired. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Right? Because who was that? Who was representative of Elijah? And that would have had to been John. Verse 13. Then the disciples understood that he spake unto them of John the Baptist. And when they were come to the multitude, they came to a certain man, kneeling down to him and saying, Jehovah have mercy on my son, for he is a lunatic and sore vexed. And we're not going to get to that part. We're supposed to stop at verse 13, right? Not excommunicating any of that, but you see, but yeah. So with the thought of Zion in there, I'm gonna read 1 through 13, no stopping. We're gonna run right on through. So keep Zion in there in mindset. Keep Vav being nailed in place. Keep that in mindset. All right, as we're reading through this, right? Okay, so this is how we do it. Y'all keep your ears on. I'm gonna read it to you. All right. It says, and after 6 days, Yehoshua taketh Peter, James, and John his brother, and bringeth them up into a high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them. And his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. I got it now. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elijah talking with him. These two mindsets talking with him. I said I wasn't going to stop, but I can't help it. Verse 4. Then answered Peter and said unto Yehoshua, Adon. Look up those character meanings of Adon. Is it righteous for us to be here? If thou wilt, let us make here 3 tabernacles. Alav Ba'ait Gaimal. That's humility. One for thee, that goes in one. One for Moses, that goes in one. One for Elijah, that goes in one. What did we miss the first time that I saw here just now? All things work in three for a balance, right? So we have Yehoshaphat, we have Moses, we have Elijah. These three mindsets must give us balance. So to study, we study the walk of Yehoshaphat, we study the walk of Moses, we study the walk of Elijah. Great place to start. Great place to start. Takes two weights and there's a balancer. The balancer being the Messiah, the two weights being Moses and Elijah. We also have the past, present, and future going on too, all at one time. This is three. It means a lot, so we can stick all that in there. Boom. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. That's why I said go back to Exodus. Think about Mount Sinai. And behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am very well pleased. Hear ye him. And when the disciples heard it, they fell on their face and were sore afraid. And Yehoshaphat came and touched them and said, arise and be not afraid. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man, save Yehoshaphat. Or only Yehoshaphat. That's the only person they saw. And they came down from the mountain. Yehoshaphat charged them, saying, tell the vision to no man until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead. And his disciples asked him, saying, why then say the scribes that Elijah must first come? And Yehoshaphat answered and said unto them, Elijah truly shall first come and restore all things. That mindset of Elijah will come first and restore all things that you need right there. Because it's going to take a part of Elijah in order to make you think about Moses, in order to make you think about, you see, how it all goes together. This is the way life goes. We apply this to life using what happened in life. That's what we do. Verse 12, but I say unto you that Elijah is come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. They said, just that, it's just that, right? Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Likewise shall the righteous mindset come about, and they still be like, I could, but I'm not. The same way they treated this, the same way they will always treat that. That's the same way I treated it when I first came across. It seems like this book right here, this scroll, these excerpts told exactly how my life was going to go. So there is one way to get there to figure out how your life is going to go. He gave you ways to make it fit. He gave you Hebrew characters. He gave you Psalm 119. He gave you a way to do it on your own. You know, and if you come together in a righteous place, and there's so many righteous people that it becomes an assembly, just do the righteous things. That's it. Even in those places that are already standing now, just do the righteous things. I'm not going around saying take down all these places, because these places have righteous intent too as well. Are they teaching the right things? Not all the way. But this is the same place where I learned about this culture. This is the same place where I learned about all this. I got my sense of knowing anything about this from that place. So being able to be put in a place and then brought here, my sister helped me see this as well. We're going to go to the Book of Wisdom, chapter 14, too, after this. Book of Wisdom, chapter 14. When I was there, I had to be placed over there to learn certain things in order to be able to bridge a gap, in order to be able to hold tight over here, reach back for those that want to come over and bring them over after already having a relation, right? Not all relationships are righteous. Am I cool with everybody that I was cool with when I was in church? No. But all of us kind of went a certain way to find out the truth, because it wasn't there. Some sank, some swam, right? I was a swimmer. Praise y'all for that. But keeping Abba first mindset, right? Remember that all these things were put into place to be. Every situation, every problem, every war, every person, everybody that tried to trip you when you're walking down the hallway, everything is put into place for a reason. You can't ever be mad at that. Because if you're mad at that, you're wasting time. You're wasting valuable time. Because Abba is just like a father, just sitting there like, if you stop trying to run away and stop trying to swing, if you actually open your eyes, you'll realize that the reason why you're not able to make contact of hitting when you're trying to swing is because there's a hand on your forehead that's trying to get you to hear something before you go forward. You know, you only make yourself mad. You're only tiring yourself out. So first be understanding. In everything, first be understanding. First seek wisdom. First seek the wise domain, the domain of wisdom, the place where you're supposed to be at all times in order to be able to decipher what's going on. Because a lot of times I'll see situations, I'm like, how do we even get here? Like, how do we even get here, yo? What? All right. Let me take a breath. Let me just look and see what's going on. All the times people wonder, why do you just get quiet and get ghost? I don't be ghost. I don't never get ghost. I just sit back. I say, okay. And I watch. And I listen. Especially if it's about me. Especially if it's about me and nobody even asks me about me being in me situation. You know, I definitely sit back and why did they not even ask me? I'm not even mad at that person. I'm not even mad about what they said about me. I'm not mad about anything that happened. But why didn't they ask me what was going on? You know? Or why didn't they ask me why? I was talking to my homeboy about this earlier. A lot would be understood if you would just ask why. Right? Are you mad about something that you thought happened that didn't even happen? You know what I'm saying? Are you mad about something that, you know, you should be better than that? Yes, everybody should be better in something. First, be understanding, right? For know exactly why it's important to seek his guidance. Exactly, I'm on. And wisdom dwells in those who seek it. Exactly. Exactly. But that's a great point too, sis. When you're looking at something, right? And you don't ask that person what's going on, you know who you're believing in right there? That's the adversary. Salah. That's the adversary. Because if you can't see exactly what it is, if you think you know what's going on and you don't know, and you're going with what you think you know, and you know that you should just ask about some things, and you go with your own understanding, what is that? Who are you rocking with? This is why I don't ever hate people. I can get irritated. I can be like, yo, but if I keep looking at that, I'm looking at the enemy. I'm believing the enemy and the cover of whatever broken, fallen spirit is over that person in the weak point in their life, right? I'm mad at that. I'm concentrating on that. I'm fighting that. I'm all about the enemy. I go tell other people, yeah, stay away from it. You're all rocking with the enemy. You feel me? It's you got to realize it's Abba first. And these things are allowed to happen. If he didn't want it to happen, he knows it all, he knows it best. If he didn't want it to happen, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. But don't be angry at him that it happened. Don't be angry at him that it happened. It has to happen. And a lot of times people aren't going to be there with you to see the ending outcome of it. That's the best part. Take that with a grain of salt. I love everybody. But it's like in my life, I've been through things. And at the end of the day, when I came to the realization of what was going on with myself, right? Or what was going on, or to even be able to see that when I could have tore things down, you know what I'm saying? When you could have really put everything out on Front Street, you know, when you could have done all these things, but yet the first thing you did was seek wisdom. So you know what Pops did? You know what Abba did? Abba set the whole path for you to follow right up to him, for it's just you and him. Because the first thing you did and said was say, I can't do that. I know one thing I can't do. I don't know what's going on, but I know I can't do that. Then you start looking at Abba. Now you're all about Abba. And he brings you right there to that vision of Allah. Right back into the bite, right? Helps you out and sends you back out with what you need. You know? Yeah, never goes. And our work doesn't take 1,000 witnesses on camera. Never at all. This echoes. This echoes. Even with this, it says like 4 people up there, right? But I'm looking on my laptop, it says 16. But then when I'm done with this, it'll say $1.25. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? Not important. Don't care. I care about who cares about this. And I care about who doesn't care about this, but only to know where you are and how close you're getting to me. Because in order to get too close, you got to start asking some things. You got to start doing some things. Because, you know, eventually, if you're this close to me and the right things are being done, you can't be talking. And that's holding myself up to a higher standard too. That's holding all this up to a higher standard. Us doing that is holding ourselves to a higher standard. Our higher standard is wisdom. That's the higher standard. Right? A living word. Exactly. Exactly. That's the living word. That's the standard. And every time you have that thought, that evil, wicked thought, Whoop, you're a little bit below the standard right then and there. That's what I'm saying. It's uplifting even to me, especially. So please don't ever think I'm talking down on nobody. No, the most I'll do is warn some people. That's about it. That's about it. Stick with Abba. Let those playing around. Like what I say now. I used to be one that was from the streets, right? Let's just go ahead and jump on Jump Street, Front Street. Used to be one that's from the streets, right? Not like that dude anymore. I'm on the curb. I'll say this now. I was like, well, I'll let them youngest have the streets. But if they jump up on this curb, leave me alone. That's the warning. I'm up here with the word and stuff like that. I'm protected over here way more than I was ever protected over there. So I advise you to let me do me. You know what I'm saying? Just let me do me. And just y'all, I hope you get up here. If you jump up on this curb, I hope you act right. That's the essential thing of that, right? All praises, all praises. I told you. And people don't know me like that. People don't know, but y'all get to know me being on here with me like this because I get to open it up. Exactly, Con. You feel me? You feel me? Now we're gonna go to the Book of Wisdom, chapter 14. I think that's the next thing in line. All right, Book of Wisdom, or Book Wisdom of Solomon as well, seen as that. So we can go to Wisdom, chapter 15. No, 14. Read verse 1 through 5. All right. Slakia. All right. Book of Wisdom, chapter 14, read verse 1 through 5. And it says, okay, boom, boom, boom. So we see sail right here, okay? Keep in mind, we're talking about earth and water. That's why we talked about this, so we could see things differently and deeper. Way deeper. We see things way deeper. Well, we could pretty much read through. Now we're just doing precepts to back up the concept so that y'all know that I studied to show myself approved. You know what I'm saying? This is decent. This is order. So even if you have a new, what you feel as new concept or something, precept it out. Even when I started with the garden mindset, gotta precept it out. A lot of people are like, no. Well, once I precept that thing out and started keeping on breaking down what I was trying to say, it was widely understood what I was saying, right? Even with this Abba thing, the first thing I said, I was like, well, that's not his name. That's not like my name is Steven, you know. It's still first Abba. Like that's all I'm saying. When people are saying, oh well, you can't, his name is Yahab. I know. That's one of them. Then what do you, but now if you watch this, you'll get exactly what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's Abba Yahab al Khayyam. Abba comes first. Wisdom. We keep wisdom over here. But let's start reading. Wisdom chapter 14, verse 1. This is also advice for you too. It says, again, one preparing to sail and about to journey over raging waves calls on a piece of wood more rotten than the vessel that carries him. That's talking about being called to do this thing, right? Let's start that again. Again, one preparing to sail. Who prepares us to sail? Why are we sailing? We think about the Messiah, his walk, his work, all started by the boat dock too as well, right by waters. One preparing to sail and about to journey over raging waves of life calls on a piece of wood more rotten than the vessel that carries him to carry the message, right? Verse 2, for the hunger for profit planned it, and wisdom was the craftsman who built it. For those that find wisdom, wisdom accepted you. You see, the wisdom don't seek nobody. Wisdom is there. Everything we see is already dipped in wisdom, but when you seek it, it finds you, right? Verse 3, your providence, O Father, guides it along. Your providing, Abba, guides it along. Because even in the sea, you gave away. And even in the waves, a sure path. Think about Moses. Showing that you can save out every danger. Right? Moses, Sea of Reeds too. Throw that out there. Not the Red Sea, Sea of Reeds. That even a man without skill may put to sea, or may be put to sea, right? It is your will that the works of your wisdom should not be idle. Therefore, men also entrust their lives to a little piece of wood. In passing through the surge on a raft, come safely to land. That's Zion. To sail is to be in the work of land and sea. To sail is to be in the work of wood and water. One comes from earth, one holds up the earth. Everything is set upon the waters. Our mind is set in in the waters. Right? Exactly. Exactly. That's the concept of Zion. Moses and the Sea of Reeds. Being set in it, being lifted from it, to have it parted, to leave out, to continue. This is Zion. Zion and Zebulon, it's going to look a whole lot different to me now. A whole lot more different. All praises. All praises. There's another precept too. It doesn't really fall in line too much with all this, but we'll go to Psalms 133 because it keeps popping up in my mind, so we got to get that out too. Before we go to the testament of, no, Sirach 24 as well. That's right. That's the other one. Sirach 24. We're going to read through that. Let's see. Yeah, Psalms 133. Psalm 133. Let's go there first. Psalm 133. That was on the other post. Also, you can see, for those that are friends with me on TikTok as well as this over here, the post, y'all can see how the process goes too for those, because we're essentially teachers helping teachers teach, and teachers talking with teachers. We're at the campfire. We're just hearing, and we're letting Ravak go on through, right? We all get different things. I'll say something, and that's why I love when messages do come from this, because it teaches me. You know, there's some things that I had glanced at and looked at before what I was called to through Ravak. Just, it wasn't to hit all those points, because Messiah does that. You know what I'm saying? All praise to our most esteemed teacher, Father. Exactly. Abba. Exactly. But yeah, let's go to Psalm 133. 133. This is basically reiterates what I was talking about with the Mount of Harmon. Verse Psalm 133, it says, "Behold, how righteous and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity." Okay. All right. Well, with unity, we can think about Zion again. Earth and water. I'm pretty sure somebody else already went there. Earth and water. So how righteous and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Verse 2. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments. That talks about it all affecting. Boom. So verse 3. As the dew of Hermon, or Harmon, or Haimon, Harmon, and as the dew that was descended upon the mountains of Zion, Salah. For there the Yahweh, or the righteous direction of the Father, commanded the blessing, even life forevermore. That's exactly where the starting with Yehoshaphat, that's where the connection was I was talking about earlier. Right? So let's read verse 3 again. As the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion, for those that were here for that part, for there Yahweh commanded the blessing, life forevermore. Because we could take even out. You see even in italics, that means that word was added there later in translation to help things connect. And it does help. It helps me sometimes. But remember, that wasn't even there. So that last part would read, Yahweh commanded the blessing, life for evermore. Life for who? Evermore. That's where the Messiah, we read in Matthew 17, all that references comes back together. Yeah, Father, the strength of the house. Khan, exactly. Allah by, yes, that's the combination. That's the strength of the house. That's what comes out that house. Comes the righteous direction of the Father. Comes Yad He Vav He. What comes after Yad He Vav He? Allah Hayam. Allah Lamed. Allah, etc., 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 etc. You see that Khan right there with you, 10 toes locked in. Definitely agree. Aman. Those that got to see is Abba. And like we said earlier too, they asked Messiah, how should we pray? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Abba Atsamiyam Arat. Hallowed be thy name. What is that? Hallowed be thy authority. What is that? What is the authority that we always want to happen? Yad, Hey, Vav, Hey. If you put those together, you get Yahava, right? That's the concept. Aman. So always remember, it'll help us stop arguing so much over here with these people, our people, that be we people, over this name thing. You know, I get it though. I get it. I see the gusto behind it. But it's maintain no tone. You gotta maintain no tone. Let's keep going. We're gonna go to Sirach 24. I believe that was the next one. Sirach 24. We're gonna read that through. I think that was the last one. I'm pretty sure that was. Oh yeah, then we're gonna go to Testament of Zebulon. I'm over here trying to think of what I put on that TikTok post. I think that was it. Wisdom, Sirach, Matthew was added. Testament of Zebulon. I think that's about it. All right, so we're gonna read Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter 24. We're gonna read through that. Another precept to this whole concept we're in of ZAYAN, of Zebulon, and we're gonna get into Zebulon or ZABVLAN at the end to close this off. Right? This whole concept, the main concept, the works of earth and waters, right? Earth and waters that were met at the mount, if you want to keep on going with that, right? Chapter 24, verse 1, it says, wisdom will praise her own soul. Salam. Not anybody else's. Won't go looking for nobody. Like, I picture like a mean person, but she's not mean. She's just like, I ain't gonna look for you. You know, let's keep going. She will open her mouth in the congregation of the Most High, who is Abba, right? And proclaim her glory in the presence of his power, or proclaim her impact in the presence of his working, of Abba, right? I came out of the mouth of the Most High. Came out the mouth of Abba. Yes, Salah. Came out the mouth of Abba. Abba spoke Rabat Kakodash, right? And covered the earth as a mist. So covered the earth as a mist. Covered the earth as water. So not only wind, but also we see water. This is the precepts that back up this whole thing we've been talking about today, right? I lived in high places. These are mountains, right? Skies, all the way up to Abba. And my throne is in the pillar of the cloud. We could go through Exodus with that, right? This is how you can also see if things are creditable for reading as well, if they correlate to things that happen, right? Alone, I surrounded the circuit of Shamayam. So alone surrounds the circuit of Shamayam. These waters surround the mind as well. If you want to think brain inside the head concept, or if you want to think earth or top of water concept, all of it is already wisdom. This is what I meant by already dipped in wisdom. All we see is knowledge and understanding. Knowledge is intimacy. Intimacy is what we see right then, right there. Knowledge and understanding, a standard that you're under, right, in order to be able to see things in the righteous way. And a lot of this stuff is like, I've had a great teacher. There's some stuff it's going to take me going in on my own to see. That's what the teacher wants to see. That's what Abba wants to see. That's what I'm talking about. Abba's representative in many people as well. All right. But we got to go deeper. Even when I'm dropping here, I'm dropping stuff here to hope somebody else goes deeper with it. You know, I might get there. Who knows? Yah's will. Right? You see what I did there? Abba's Yah's will. Abba Yah. Abba Yahaba Allah Khayyam. We're going to get that nailed in. Right? Let's keep reading. Alone, I surrounded the circuit of Shamayam and walked the depth of the abyss. So at the deepest parts of it all is water. Right? Okay. That verse of Amon. Verse 6, in the waves of the sea. So that means the rising and crashing of what's going on. The rising of occasion and the crashing of situation. And the settling of peace. It all happens. Earth, and in every people and nation, I got a possession. So that means in every people, in every nation, there's possession of Holy Spirit, which is true. There's possession of Ruach HaKodesh. It is true. Because why? Because in every place, the barrier or the filter or the going against, everything goes against the Holy Spirit. So Stephen plus Holy Spirit equals outcome, is what I'm saying there. So in every nation, they get a piece. There's a possession of Ruach HaKodesh in the righteous way and the wicked way. So now you see what I was saying about how there is righteousness and there's wickedness. That's how this all comes together, right? Precepts back it up. It helps understand it, right? Verse 7: with all these I sought rest. Sought rest, thought so. In whose inheritance will I lodge? And after that is a question mark. Then the creator of all things, Abba, gave me a command. He who created me made my dwelling place to rest, and said, let your dwelling place be in Jacob, or Jacob. Those that know Jacob, those that know Jacob, Hebrew characters, his sons, right? The authority of his sons, because Jacob named his sons. Jacob is very, very close in vision with Abba. We got to think about it, realize that very close in vision, because he was able to give names and able to hear names to give. We've gone through before also as well. Some were deities, some were or neptures or gods or whatever you want to call them, right? Evilness. Ashar was named off of surrounding of one of them. Issachar also as well, around surroundings of one of them. Jacob living in the house of a place where his father was worshiping, his father-in-law worshiped idols. His wives are around that all the time. He raised his children up around this. He didn't leave Ruel or Jethro, Rabban. He didn't leave from there until Benjamin, I believe. Right before Benjamin. Don't fact check me on that. But right around that time, he was there through all this. He was having these children in this place, right? But in Jacob, in Jacob, in the bag, what I called it, being in the bag, right? In the bag of Jacob. You feel me? In that kaf, in the middle of that, the Yad or Yavad. We can stick an alav in there because alav is between every character. So jot that down. Because the work of the Father or the work of vision, like we can see now, is required to get from character to character, right? So we have Yavad, alav, kaf, or kaf, or kaf, right? Alav, bai. So in the middle of that is that character kaf, which is represented by two hands. I haven't gotten there yet, but that pretty much seems like right now is what it is. Two hands. So in the hands, the working of the hands is the same thing as the working hands of the Father, because of the Aleph Ba'ait is Yahweh. But all this birthed from Abba. So from the foundation of all of this, from Abba comes the Aleph Ba'ait, comes the Kaf. So to have the Kaf in the name of Jacob would mean that he would have, you see, he would have that in order to be able to do this for us to see in lineage what's supposed to happen, what's supposed to be. Amen. Let's keep going. And your inheritance in Israel, verse 9. Israel being the later part of Jacob or Jacob. So Jacob went from Jacob to Israel, a place of working the hands of the Father to a place of being where the image of the head of peace is. It's a process. So we go from Jacob to Yahasra'al or Yarashala'al, right? We go from Jacob to Israel. That's our mindset process. Jacob, Israel, Jacob, Israel, Jacob, Israel. And in between that, we got to go through Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, etc., etc. So in between that, we have to go through these processes. That's the bag of Jacob I'm talking about. So when I say I'm in my Jacob bag or I'm in my bag, I'm talking about in life we were given Jacob or Jacob, but through Jacob came all the details of how to get through life. And at the end of it, we have the three balancing keys. So we take all that to the balancer, and that is Moses, Elijah, first Yahashua. Right? That's how it all comes together. But you got to read Genesis to Revelation, and then go Revelation to Genesis to catch a lot of this stuff. Right? Let's keep going. Verse 9, he created me from the beginning before the world, for all ages. I will not cease to exist. And those that don't know, wisdom is like Holy Spirit. So that's what we're talking about at the same time. Verse 10, in the holy dwelling place, I ministered before him. So I was established in Zion. Holy Spirit also being the wind, also being the water, also established in Zion. See? See where this comes from? Let's keep going. In the beloved city, likewise, he gave me rest. In this place, which is also, right, our habitat, our habitating, established, that part. Let's keep going. In Jerusalem was my domain. Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim. However you want to pronounce it. Just know the character of it. Just know the character, know the character, know the character. Because sometimes, even in the different pronunciations, for instance, if you don't see Vav and you see a U there, or a W, a double V, but we're going to stay with the U and the V. If you don't see it as a V, you are going to miss the image of Vav being nailed in place. There's a V on top of a line. If you put a U on top of a line, it doesn't really look like something being nailed in place. It doesn't really look like a point of contact. It looks like a curve versus a straight line. And everything in life is a line or a curve. And the things and the points we're supposed to get to is a line that's narrow, right? Just allow on that. Just allow on that. Just allow on that, right? Let's keep going. Verse 12, I took root in a people that was glorified, even in the portion of Yahweh's own inheritance, or even in the portion of the righteous direction's inheritance, right? Verse 13, I was exalted like a cedar in Lebanon, and a cypress tree on the mountains of Hermon. Verse 14, I was exalted like a palm tree on the seashore, and as rose plants in Jericho. And as a fair olive tree in the plain, I was exalted as a plain tree. That's heavy. As a fair olive tree in the plain, I was exalted as a plain tree. As cinnamon and as palathus, I have given a scent to perfumes. A choice myrrh, I spread abroad a pleasant fragrance. As galbanum, onyx, stacked, and as the smell of frankincense in the dwelling place. These are all sacred instances found in Exodus 30:34. If you want to go deeper into that, Exodus 30:34. These are the places where it goes deeper into all that. I skipped over that for a reason because, we'll be here all day, which will be cool. But my voice, right? Let's keep going. Verse 16. As the terebinth, I stretched out my branches. My branches are branches of glory and grace. So from wisdom comes glory and grace. From wisdom comes knowledge and understanding. All right, let's keep going. As the vine, I put out grace. My flowers are the fruit of glory and riches. I am the mother of beautiful love, because she's always seen as a mother, always seen as birthing, because Abba spoke Ravak. Ravak carries out the work of Abba. Abba plants seed, Ravak births, right? So she's seen as a woman. A lot of times over time, it's I don't know the word, but men were very masculine over time and took out a lot of things, a lot of reference to our sisters. But just know that you cannot have the masculine without the feminine. You cannot have the feminine without the masculine, right? But oftentimes, one tries to take one and influx on it or establish it or push it more than what's needed. And we can see some wicked things come from that to this day, right? It ain't right, but we're going to keep going. Verse 19, come to me. No. Yes, I'm a mother of beautiful love, of fear, knowledge, and holy hope, or whole hope, right? It says I am perpetual. Perpetual. Many different ways, many different concepts in all, but you're going to get what you give into it. We can think about the blood on the doorpost. Think about that. I am given to all my children who are named by him. that's Father. That's Abba. Who names, right? Come to me, all who desire me, because she's not going to look for you. and be filled with my fruits, because there are many fruits. Okay. One spirit, but there are fruits of this spirit, not fruits of spirits. These spirits, we can twist that up. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. But the spirits, yeah, they all they do is twist fruit that's already fruited. But let's keep going. I couldn't help it. And be filled with my fruits. Verse 20. For my memorial is sweeter than honey, and my inheritance sweeter than the honeycomb. Those who eat me will be hungry for more. Those who drink will be thirsty for more. He who obeys me will not be ashamed. Those who work with me will not sin. All these things are a scroll of the covenant of the Most High Alachayim. The scroll of the covenant that cuts through all types of waters. Wisdom is established. Seek what is established. Point blank. That's it. Let's keep going. The law. Okay, let's go back to 23. All these things are the scroll of the covenant of the Most High Alachayim, the law which Moses commanded us for an inheritance for the assemblies of Jacob. Right? Let's keep going. Always be strong in the righteous direction of the Father. Right? That's what that means, right? When we see Lord in all caps, that means Yahweh, right? So that Yahweh means the righteous direction of the Father. So I wasn't wrong for saying it like that. Always be strong in the righteous direction of the Father. Stay with him so that he may make you strong. There is no Alachayim but Yahweh Almighty. There is no righteous direction. There's no way for you to be in the flesh but the way of the righteous direction intent, right? And no Savior except him. No Savior but the righteous intent through the Holy Spirit, but is whole in the Spirit, right? Because there are spirits of spirit. There are Holy Spirits of the Holy Spirit, right? These are the angels that work among us. These are the angels we see, or the messengers, right? All of the Holy Spirit. To be whole with the Spirit is to be Holy Spirit, you know? One day, one day, one day. All praises to the Most High. Yes. It feels great to even get it out. It's what we've been waiting for last week to now. I've been chewing on this thing. I think that's why I ended up in like 3 different directions, but this is the one that, yeah, this is the one. This is the one. Let's keep going. All these things are, the law which Moses commanded us for an inheritance for the assemblies of Jacob. Verse 24, always be strong in the righteous direction of the Father. Stay with him so that he may make you strong. There is no Alachayim but Yahweh Almighty, and no Savior except him. It is he who makes wisdom abundant. As Pishon, as Tigris in the days of first fruits, go all the way back to Banashayat or Genesis, right? Covering all the bases, right? He makes understanding as full as the Euphrates, right? So that goes with the concept when he's talking about right there. Makes it as full as the Euphrates. Euphrates River being one that was definitely almost like the Nile. It's one that was definitely needed and very important. But also in the concept of a border or a borderline of the garden, right? What comes out of the garden, what calls a line in the garden, right? To throw things into Euphrates is to have an understanding. And when things dry up and go across and things like that, dive into that meaning of the Euphrates as well. But also be aware of what's going on. These things don't affect you. They're not for you. Don't be scared. But long story short, wicked things happen to wicked people. Righteous things happen to righteous people. Through all the wickedness going on, stay righteous. That's the concept of this whole thing. No matter what's going on outside, no matter what's going on in your heart, no matter what's going on in your mind, you'll be all right as long as you're in this, right? Let's keep going. And as the Jordan in the days of harvest, Jordan also being the river of who was baptized in, right? Jordan also being the river that was crossed over for the second Passover. What do I mean by that? Those know, right? But when Joshua took the people over, because Moses couldn't go, so Joshua had to take over. They left from Kemet or Egypt or Mizraim, whichever one you're rolling with. They left from there, went through the wilderness, right? But not everybody that left from there, that hit the Exodus. Some of them left because everybody was leaving. Some didn't really mean what they were supposed to mean in their heart by leaving. Some people were leaving out of the Exodus and were kind of like, I'm just doing it because I just don't want to be wrong. You're not really doing it from the heart, and that's going to show eventually. Because eventually, what did they request? They missed the food that was over there. They missed this and that. They were greedy with the manna or the manna, right? They were greedy with all these things. They weren't worthy to make it over, right? So these people were the same people that didn't make it over. There was a big thing of death, right before they crossed over the Jordan. This is the second circumcision. The first one was a circumcision from the wickedness, but then there's going to be a second one. This is what I mean by the wilderness, not just being a place of being closer to Yah, but also it is a place where miracles happen. But the miraculous things stop there because it's going to get serious. It's going to get to the promised land. Come on out, you there? See? It's going to get to the promised land. So therefore, there's going to have to be some concepts and some things, right? There's an Ark of the Covenant that was placed into the waters, right? There were stones placed there too, right? All these things in the water after the work of earth. There was also a splitting of waters then, was there not? So was there not yet another splitting of waters? Moses had a staff, right? Moses moved on. Leaders have staffs. Some things aren't said, but some things that aren't said because they're understood, and what's understood doesn't have to need to be explained. Doesn't have a need to be explained. The Messiah gave us that verbatim. It won't meant for everybody to know. Why do you speak to everybody in parables? Or why do you always speak in metaphors? Or why are you always speaking rap? Because it's not meant for everybody to know. If you really want to know, if you really know these knowledge, if you could keep up in what we're saying, that means you love Abba. Because you sat there and you went into it. You searched for him. You looked for him in order to get here. So if we're here, I can rock with you because you really rock with Abba. Everybody else, not saying they're terrible persons, but they might fault along the line. And that's going to happen. It's expected. And when that fault happens, if we can't just bounce right back from it, that tells me who you are. I'm going to need you to bag back a little bit. I'm going to need you to figure yourself out some. I'm still here, still love you, but I love you from a distance until we get these things together. I need you to go seek wisdom, right? I'm going to need you to read a proverb a day. I recommend that. I started out with that, proverb a day. It goes all the way through. It shows a comparison of the moves with Moses and Elijah. Can't lean on the familiar staff to guide your staff. Exactly. It works all the way through, right? So imagine if Moses would have seen something that he wasn't supposed to see, and then boom, zap. It all would have worked out to righteous plans. But, just seeing how things worked out in the way that we're allowed to see them worked out, right? If one thing would have changed, how drastic everything would have changed. So that tells me right there, I had to make every single step and every single move exactly how I did in order to get here. So if you're judging me on anything I did in my past that I'm not still doing, right? And these steps were ordained to happen. And these steps had to happen. These things had to come forth. I made it out all right. I've asked forgiveness. I'm fine in the kingdom. But for those that are on the other side of things, there's things, when I'm saying this, I'm not talking about anybody in particular, but I'm talking to myself about other things too. Because there's some things in my mind I haven't settled with, right? But is that on me or is that on them? It's on me to forgive first. It's on me to settle in first. It's on me to understand things first. And this is for things that I haven't even gotten to yet in the future too. I got to use the same concept. Like it all flows together. We've got to see it. Got to see it. So if you see these things, one thing is not needed for the next step. That applies to life. This whole scroll, life's life for you. Nothing is sent here to fit us. We got to get it tailor-made. We've got to get it tailor-made. Like even if we have all these worldly garments, we still need that tunic. We still got to get it tailor-made. That takes the hands of the potter. When he's done working with the clay, he'll work on your garment. It's going to shine bright. It'll be all right. He's got to shape you up some first. That's it. Let's keep going. Where we at? We were at Euphrates, I believe, in the Jordan. Yep. Verse 27. who makes instruction shine out as the light, as Gaihan in the days of vintage, or in the days of old. The first man did not know her perfectly, Adam. Facts. In like manner, the last has not explored her, for her thoughts are filled from the sea, and her counsels from the great deep. Great day. I came out as a canal stream from a river, and as an irrigation ditch into a garden. Also, thinking about Zabvlan, in the promised land, the way they were set and where they settled at was also in a very strategic place, right in the middle, right? As a ditch that allows a stream to flow into a garden, right? I even used that for the clip art for this post too. So when I finish this and this post up, I'm pretty sure it should still be there. So yeah, look at that. I said I will water my garden and will drench my garden bed. Behold my stream become a river, and my river become a sea. I will yet bring instruction to light as the rising, and will make these things clear from far away. I will continue to pour out doctrine like prophecy, and leave it to generation of ages. Behold, that I have not labored for myself only, but for all those who diligently seek her. Even speaking in third person. Right? I'm on. And I believe now we're gonna read with read read the testament of Zebulon. Yeah, I'll flip right to it. So we're gonna read that. We're gonna finish up there, but we're gonna start at chapter 5. All right, we're gonna read it straight out to the end. 5 chapters. I'm just gonna read it through because it's pretty much self-explanatory in what we've been precepting. You know, precepting and concepting and all that stuff. I'm on. Let's keep on going. We're gonna read this out, then we'll be done. All praises. That's Shabbat Shalom, technically still, for those that follow the Hebrew calendar. Technically, it'd be Saturdays for us. For when I do this live, that's what I mean by that. But yeah, we get more to that at the end. We're gonna read this through. Slakia. It says, "And now, my children, this is a testament of the 12 patriarchs. We're going down to Zebulon. We're gonna have to skip through a few of them sometimes, depending on how it's written out in your apocryphal text. But we're at Zebulon, chapter 5. It says, "And now, my children, I bid you keep the commandments of Yahweh, or keep the commandments of the righteous direction, and to show mercy to your neighbors, and to have compassion toward all, not toward men only, but also toward beasts." That's a salam moment. Beasts of the field. those are no revelation, right? That's having compassion, right? Okay, gotcha. Yep. Testament of the 12 patriarchs. And we're at Zebulon. Yep, Testament of Zebulon. But also towards beasts. Verse 2, "For all things' sake, the righteous direction has blessed me. And when all my brothers were sick, I escaped, and Bavakasha, I escaped without sickness, for the righteous direction knows the purposes of each. Therefore," or let's stop right there, go back. "For the righteous direction, or the Lord, or Yahweh, knows the purposes of each." So knows means to be intimate with. So that means the righteous direction comes with the purpose of each. That's what that breaks down to. Now that we know Abba, Salah, Yahweh Allah Khayam, right? Where we at? Verse 3, "Therefore have compassion in your hearts, my children, because even as a man does to his neighbor, even so will the righteous direction do to him also. For the sons of my brothers were getting sick and dying on account of Joseph, because they did not show mercy in their hearts. But my sons were preserved without sickness, as you know. And when I was in the land of Canaan, by the seacoast, I made a catch of fish for my father Jacob. And when many were drowned in sea, I continued unharmed. That's a salah. Chapter 6. I was the first to make a boat to sail on the sea. Here we go again. Right? And this is Zebulon, ZABVLAN. Breaking this down to Hebrew character, let's do that real quick. It's the harvesting tool of earth and water, as we see now. Of division, of source, for the righteous family, right? To be nailed in place to the righteous direction. Of division, towards perfection, towards maturity. That's what we have there. ZABVLAN, ZABVLAN. Right here is written out as Zebulon, ZEBULUN. But, in Hebrew character, we can see that right there reiterates, but doesn't really interpret exactly. But right there, it would be like ZABU or ZABVLVN. Nailed to the source or the division, right? So that would be the same thing, but even more deep in concept, Allah, the source or division, right? So let's keep on going. Boom, boom, boom. I was the first to make a boat to sail on sea. This is chapter 6. For the righteous direction gave me understanding and wisdom therein. And I let down a rudder behind it. And I stretched a sail on another upright piece of wood in the midst. Salah. And I sailed there along the shores, catching fish for the house of my father, until we came to Kemet. Salah on all this. This talks about a lot that happened. And through compassion, I shared my catch with every stranger. This is fishes of men. And if a man was a stranger, or sick or aged, I boiled the fish and dressed them well. So he gave it to them where they were at, right? Compassion first. Let them write the story first. That's what I was getting with that. First be understanding, right? Know how to dress things. And offer them to all men, because there is a possession of the Holy Spirit in all men. Not just the part of the person that is being overcome by an evil spirit, but a part of the person that is not picking the right way, because it is a choice, essentially. Just because the evil spirit has overcome them in that moment doesn't mean they're not making a choice at the same time, right? As every man had need, grieving with and having compassion on them. Verse 5, for the reason the righteous direction also satisfied me with abundance of fish, because he knew what to do when catching fish. For he that shares with his neighbor receives manifold more from the righteous direction. So even you teaching or speaking and giving notes and giving testimonies, you feel better, because that is a reward. And then still even more comes from that, right? Verse 8, and enough for all the house of my father. Verse 7, and in the summer I caught fish, and in the winter I kept sheep with my brothers. So in the summer months, caught fish. And in the winter months, or the season of dead things, he kept the sheep. Salah. That's all. Just Salah. Chapter 7. Now I will declare to you what I did. I saw a man in distress through nakedness in wintertime. Exactly. I saw a man in distress through nakedness in wintertime, and had no compassion on him. Which means not that Zebulon didn't have compassion on him, but nobody showed compassion towards him, right? Because he was naked. Who told you were naked? Right? It all comes together. This whole thing comes together. Let's keep going. This is how you can tell this is that has status too. It has foundation too. 1 second. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I saw a man in distress through nakedness in wintertime, and had no compassion on him, and secretly stole a garment from my father's house, and gave it to him who was in distress. Therefore, my children, from that which Allah bestows on you, show compassion and mercy without hesitation to all men. and give to every man with a righteous heart. And if you do not have the means to give to him that needs, have compassion for him in yearnings of mercy. Right? If you can't do it, just look for a way that it can be done, or just hope for a way that can be done. Right? People say, I don't like people to pray for me. I get what you mean by that. I get what you mean by don't touch no man suddenly. But also I get that my prayers then got me to where I am now. Some people's basis for prayers off of false accusations or false understanding. Half understanding. A lot of times in this walk, people get excited about the casting stones. A lot of times they like to see somebody in a lower position than them because it makes them feel a little bit better than themselves, about themselves. Oftentimes I'll sit and I'll watch and I'll listen. Like I'll be telling y'all already, I'll sit and I'll listen and I'll watch, because sometimes we get to a point where there's a time where somebody's just talking about somebody or references something, and everybody gets rowdy, just gets excited and starts throwing stones, and then the interaction gets greater and da 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 da, and I'm just like, how disgusting. You know, be mindful, show compassion. As we read here, there's no reason not to show compassion. Now, does that mean you literally have to put hands or make less of yourself or something? No, but there's always a reason. There's always a way to show compassion. What comes to mind is no man can love creation more than Abba, than the Creator, and He loves all creation. He's allowed these things to be. We can't be brothers. We can't be sisters if we have that in us. Because if we're not using it towards the world, then we're using it towards ourselves, amongst each other. If we're not using it amongst each other, we're using it towards the world, and Abba's already doing that. So, what is that feeling that makes people want to or need to do that? What is that feeling that gets people excited and riled up? It's pain. It's pain from the past. It's pain for what our people went through. It's pain from life. It's trauma on the mind. And that's projected. Be able to see that. Don't join in. Don't join in. Don't necessarily have to be the one to say, hey, you guys, you got to stop. You know, not necessarily. But you sit there, and what does it say? If you do not have the means to have compassion, instead give yearnings of mercy. Father, they know not what they do. In that moment, Abba, righteous direction, they know not what they do, Abba. He'll hear you say that, and then you'll be instructed after that, depending on this situation. You know? Or Abba, if it's meant for you, for me to view it in my will, I'll just allow me to see it when it comes up. You know? That's my petition oftentimes, because it's never a no, it's just a not yet or not that way. That's it. But one way it is not to cast stones. That's one thing I don't do. I don't cast a single stone. Not because my name is Stephen, but because he can't. He who was without sin cast the first one. Instead of talking about a person, just talk about how to do the righteous thing. You see what I'm saying? All right. This whole thing I talked about working earth and water. I ain't had to bring up not near in person. I had to bring up not near name. But I got the point across. But it's hurt. So I don't sit there and be like, see, you know, but it's hurt. Hurt people. Be able to see that. That's what this harvesting of waters in earth is. The waters move things, the earth allows things to move. The earth has things planted in it for the waters to move. There's beasts of the field, there's fish of the sea. There's things of both places. You see, so be mindful. Remember that vision that goes into the two houses. Remember the foundation. Remember how all that comes together. So you're able to see what's going on. Even if you're in that space, be the representative. Be the one that holds it together. You ain't got to say nothing out loud. You ain't gotta say nothing at all. You could walk by and just chuck up a prayer real quick. I do that a lot. I'll see people on the side of the roads, and I'll see situations, and I'll see accidents, and I'll just see people outside the car and be like, "Thank you." I don't know them. They could have done stuff to other people. They could have crossed people. Da da da. But in that moment, I don't know. I have compassion. That's Abba's creation. I'm glad you made it out there, brother. I'm glad you made it out there, sister. Like, that's all it takes. Don't let your pain cloud your vision. Cloud your vision or crowd your vision. One of the two. Don't let it do that. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I know we said I won't. I know I said I won't gonna stop, but I guess I should stop saying that because when spirit just goes, spirit go. But we're gonna go back to reading now. Chapter 7. Now I will declare to you what I did. There we go. Yep. Verse chapter 7, verse 2. Yeah. Therefore, my children, from which Alachayim bestows on you, show compassion and mercy without hesitation to all men, and give to every man with a Tabah heart. And if you do not have the means to give to him that needs, have compassion for him in yearnings of mercy. I know that my hand did not find the means to give to him that needed, and I walked with him weeping for 7 furlongs, and my bowels yearned toward him in compassion. Aman, I saw me how I touch and agree. I saw the righteous direction, I touch and agree. Chapter 8. Have therefore yourselves also, my children, compassion toward every man with mercy, that the righteous direction may also have compassion and mercy on you. Because also in the last days, Alachayam will send his compassion on the earth, and wheresoever. So in the last days, that's just not the last days, but in the concept of mindset. So in the revealing of a thing, in the last days, on the last parts of time of whatever you're going through in that situation, we could imply that there. I got to start putting my finger down when I lift up my head. Verse 2. Because also in the last days, Alachayim will send his compassion on the earth, into the mindset. And wheresoever he finds yearnings of mercy, he dwells in him. For in the degree in which man has compassion on his neighbors, in the same degree the righteous direction also has compassion on him. And when he went down to Kemet or Egypt, Yahasab or Joseph bore no malice against us. To whom, taking heed, you also, my children, must approve yourselves without malice, and love one another, and do not set down and account each one of you evil against his brother. For this breaks unity, and divides all kindred, and troubles the soul, and wears away the countenance. What does this do? This breaks unity, divides all kinds of everything, and troubles the soul, and wears away the countenance. It wears away whatever was there in the first place. So whatever was there, that little bit of whatever was there was wiped out when you casted that stone. Whatever was there, that little bit could have been wiped out. Not always, so don't feel, change, do better, but that's not what I was implying. But in that same notion, what could have happened? It could have went way worse. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Crickets? Okay. All right. We can all do better. Just because you've seen somebody mess up in this, I guarantee you, if you look back at your track record, sin is sin. I'm not even going to get into the which is worse than the other, because that's just a whole nother topic for another day. Because sin is sin. But we're going to keep reading. Chapter 9. Yep. Therefore, observe the waters, and know when they flow together. They sweep along stones, trees, earth, and other things. But if they are divided into many streams, the earth swallows them up, and they vanish away. So you will also be if you are divided. Do not be, therefore, divided in two heads, or two different mindsets, or remember the Allah. All right? Okay. Because you got to connect it. You can't be divided, because if just divided, you can't Allah. Right? Just saying. This is where these things come from. They ain't too wild once you see the precepts. But if they are divided, but if they are divided into many streams, the earth swallows them up, and they vanish away. So you will also be if you are divided. Do not be therefore divided into two heads, for everything which Yahweh or the righteous direction made has but one head, and two shoulders, two hands, 2 feet, and all the remaining members. For if I have learned in the writing of my fathers, that's just a law right there. For I have learned in the writing of my fathers that you will be divided in Yahashara'al, or in the head place, or in that peaceful place. Yahashara'al and Yerushalayim. Thank you. That's not even what you were talking about, but there's a one accord there in those two places. You see how spirit moves at different times, but there's a one accord there in Israel and Jerusalem. Oh, that's a Salah moment. But yes, one accord as well. And your enemies, no. Verse 5. For I have learned in the writings of my fathers that you will be divided in Israel and will follow two kings and will work every abomination. And your enemies will lead you captive, and you will be treated evil among the nations with many infirmities and tribulations. So be careful. Not only, well, first, there's only one king, right? So with a grain of salt, to follow two kings is wrong. One is already that we know would be representative of Babylonian ways. The other would be found in a closer place to you. The other will be found in a closer place to your heart. An example would be preachers people have heaped up for themselves, or role models they have found on podcasts, or there's many examples, because I don't want to go against what I just said earlier by using names, so I ain't gonna do that. But in place, whatever you want to there, right? That's accountability. That's accountability. Verse 6, yes, and your enemies will lead you captive, and you will be treated evil among the nations with many infirmities and tribulations. And after these things, you will remember Yahweh, or the righteous direction, and convert. That reminds me, earlier I was listening to Pastor Kofi, my teacher, and he was talking about how you should stay in Goshen or Goshen, not even to bother, not to be, so you won't be involved with the plagues and things like that, or the infirmities and tribulations of Kemet. You see how these things translate and convert over time. It's a renewing word. It constantly renews, right? Who shall believe our report? It has been recorded by the inspiration of wisdom, Ravak, that we may add onto the kingdom. Exactly. These are the mansions. These are the dwelling places. These are the, here, come get some water. You seem thirsty places, right? Verse 7, after these things you will remember the righteous direction and convert. For he is merciful and compassionate. I skipped those double bracket where it says, and he will cause you to return. I skipped that because also in studying, even in the apocryphal text, that stuff is added. So there's a difference between a single bracket and a double bracket when you're reading and studying too. Just write that down, jot that down, be aware of that too, so you're able to connect things quicker, but also see what's added in there to maybe get some more out of it. Right? It says, for he is merciful and compassionate. Let's keep going. And he does not set down and account evil to the sons of men, because they are flesh. And the spirits of deceit deceive them in all their deeds. And after these things, the righteous direction himself, which is Abba, will arise to you, the light of righteousness. And he will bring back all the nations into zeal for him. Zeal, or ZAYAN, in synonym purposes, right? And you will return to your land, and you will see him in Jerusalem for his name's sake. And again, through the wickedness of your works, you will provoke him to anger, and you will be cast away by him to the time of consummation. And as a closer, per usual, and now my children, do not grieve that I am dying, nor be cast down that I am coming to my end here, which is what I added that, but that's what that is. It's like it. Verse 2, for I will rise again in the midst of you, as a ruler in the midst of his sons, and I will rejoice in the midst of my branch, as many as will keep the law of the righteous direction and the commandments of their father, ZABVLAN. But the righteous direction will bring continuous fire on the ungodly and destroy them throughout all generations. But I am now hastening away to my rest, as my fathers also did. But fear Yahweh Alachayim, or fear Yahweh Alachayim, respect the righteous direction of the Father that He has put here in the earth with all your strength all the days of your life. Verse 6. And when he had said these things, he fell asleep, as what it is, at a righteous old age, and his sons laid him in a wooden coffin, and afterward they carried him up and buried him in Hebron with his fathers. And that is the testament of ZABVLAN. ZABVLAN or Zebulon knew how to Zion, for sure. He was named this. It goes deeper, way deeper into his name. Where in the promised land, where he was set in between two places where water flowed, like a valley, but also like a ditch, right? That was described there. I believe it's Sirach. Yep. Or it might have been here in the Testament of Zebulon. Once I read things, I kind of go into the next point. But yeah, that it all comes together. So when we're reading things over this whole course of going through the 12 patriarchs, we'll continue on. We're going to go for this Shabbat. We're going to go for this Shabbat. We're going to go for this Shabbat, 3 p.m. We'll go for it again. Going through the Word, everything all together. What we do here every Saturday, preferably, but we made it on here today for Sunday. But all we do is go deeper into the Word. We call this the campfire. We go deeper into the Word. We look at what the Word says, but we also connect the Word from past to present, toward future, and back to past. In order to understand the whole view of things, in order to understand the whole situation, you must understand the details. The truth is hidden in the details. It's not meant for everybody to know or to be intimate with, because not everybody goes into the Hebrew characters to start from there. That's where I like to start from. To help out, you know. Also, I have a little chart thing I've been led to do to help people kind of get these characters deeper into understanding. To go along the lines with how I did the Alav and show the vision point, and then I walk through the Ba'it. I'm gonna go like that through how I did the Zion. I'm gonna do something like that. Been led to do that. And I'm just gonna post it. Nothing to make any money off of and stuff like that. But just let me know, or I'll let y'all know when I'm done with it, and I'll just make it like a link or something, or put it a post on here on YouTube or something like that. I'll throw it on TikTok as well. Throw it out there to help people. But yeah, I'm definitely done. I'm definitely done. Just making sure I don't want to quench the spirit, but I feel like that's about it. In the future, I'm gonna also be going live on. I guess I'll go live on TikTok again. I was gonna do it today, but I didn't think about that till the last moment, and won't no need to push things off further than what they needed to be. My mind feels way better, way lighter. Give me a little retwist gathering of the hair and stuff like that. You know, it's been a great setting. Baba Kasha, all praise to the Most High. Wonderful. Hey, tada. That means a lot, honestly. It means a lot. As you know, it's put into it's put into a situation when we do stuff like that, especially when it's something that I haven't seen. You know what I'm saying? So especially when doing something like that, for it to be understood as something that's not a, you know, like one of those, like a standard, you know what I'm saying? But it's a guideline. Just a guideline, that's it. And it's to be left for the next generations, for however many more there are to come, right? That's what we do this for. Also working on some writings. I've been working on this thing for a minute. Working on not a little book. This book is turning into some stuff. But I'm working on that. So be mindful of these things. You know, if you feel inspired to maybe teach a little bit on it, write things down. That's essentially what the ancestor did. That's how we got these scrolls. That's how we got the apocryphal text. That's how we got the letters that were written by Paul, stuff like that. You know, that's what's in these texts. So write, read, scribe, subscribe. But write, read, you know, all that stuff. Indulge yourself in the word. Oftentimes it just takes talking. That's it. Like sometimes I'll go live on here during the week randomly too. So, you know, if you rock with your boy, I'll go randomly. I don't know when those things happen. It might be 5 minutes, it might be 7 minutes, it might be 20, but it ain't gonna be no hour, because I don't have that much time to stop in between breaks and stuff. at the work, at the toil, as people say, but at the job where I work at. uh, yes, make it plain and put out that report exactly, so the next person could see. Take left here, don't go right. All right, but yeah, all praise. I'm gonna pray it out basically, and we're gonna be done. This will be uploaded, finished uploading and stuff like that. I'm more serious about the comment I made earlier because I'm not too sure how my face was even looking at that angle. Oh man, I would go through and cut that little part out, but I'm not really too personal about that. But um, I might though. I might, cause my shirt I got on. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I'm on. I'm on. We're gonna pray it out. Oh, Abba, to die about for another one, to die for finally letting me get that out the mind. We've been chewing on this back and forth. To die for your righteous direction, for your planting inside of the blood, water, and spirit, for your allowing to be able to see you for you and have a relationship with you for who you are, and that is Father, who you sent Yahashua to remind us of, to even petition or talk to you. And the first thing, to remind ourselves that you are Abba. Your vision is perfect, your work is perfect, your way is perfect, and to die for allowing me to even be a voice of that way. That's crazy. To die for even seeing me way back then and allowing me not to quit, and allowing family to be family, and allowing all this to come together, and allowing the beauty of the message to be seen in the hidden places, in that AY, in that ion, in that image, to be able to see and to be able to know now. And I'm excited to see what this outlook and this vision and this perception is going to reveal even more, because it keeps getting better. Love you. To die about for everything, for family, for this Shabbat, according to your calendar as well, for allowing us to come together, even not even missing Shabbat. So it's not even that we missed the whole tone of things, even though that wasn't even the important part. The part is to come together as family and to still be able to come together as family. For those that catch it now, and for those that catch it later, may it increase, and may your will be done as we increase your will and your work in earth, as you continue to allow things to work around us, and your workers to work around us as well, as we all do your work until you say enough is enough. Whenever that is, Aman, Atzam Yahava, Atzam Yahashfai, Atzam Ravakakodash, Aman, and Aman. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to play this little two-step beat thing. It's like the last 3 minutes or whatever. Yeah, that's about it. I'm going to let that play out. And I think that's why we should go ahead and keep doing TikTok too, because I might just go ahead over on TikTok. But I can't play music on here for lives. If I start playing music on here for lives, if it's got copyrights on it, they will mute the whole thing and tear it down. So those that got music, work with me on some things that allow me to use it. Go ahead and hit me up, get at me, drop a comment on here somewhere, and we'll get a link together, stuff like that. With all praises. I'm on, says that part. Oh yeah, like I gotta upload it. I don't know where it's. I'm recording on my phone. I'm doing it live off my phone, and I didn't get a chance to send it my email. I thought about it when I was talking about that. I was like, dang on it, I didn't even send it. But next time, I got you. That'll be the first one. And hit up Buddha Code too, I believe. Let me know something. I know you got ins and outs and stuff with that, so let me know. I'll add it to the little studio, and then boom, click it and play it. I got you, sir. fam. I'm gonna hop off here. I'll see y'all when I see y'all. I believe I might be going live today. But if not, I'll see you whenever. Those will be there tomorrow. I'll see y'all tomorrow. And until next time, y'all be safe. Much love. And remember, Zebulon. Read back through that. Read back through Matthew 17, Psalms 133, Book of Wisdom, chapter 14, 1 through 5, Sirach 24. And to all be continued. Right? All praise, all praise. I'm glad I got all that out. But I'll see y'all next time. Love y'all. Yahava, Shalom, Barak fam. Until next time. Peace. I'll catch you in 30 minutes too. Peace.